won't let my mother be in my daughter's life.
Keep her out.
Build a fence. I, 23 female, am currently 27 weeks pregnant with my first child. I found out in January 2025 that me and my boyfriend, 23 male, were expecting our first child, and we were absolutely over the moon with joy and happiness. We both had concerns we may not be able to have children. My concern's more due to overthinking than anything else. By the way, this comes from user IC reference 2799, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
And OP says, my mom, 45 female, and I have always had a rocky relationship. She always would talk badly about my dad's side of the family, specifically my grandmother who raised me from the age of 6 until she passed away when I was 17. We won't even get into the drama she caused when my grandmother had passed away. Now this next part I'm only adding in for context as to how my mother can be. When I was 19 years old, I decided I was ready to get my first tattoo, which happened to be for my grandmother who raised me. I posted it online, excited, just because not only was it my first tattoo, but I had family members related to my grandmother, as well as some of her close friends on Facebook. Mostly everyone was supportive, even both of my mom's sisters. But my mom saw it and made a comment publicly about how I had another grandmother that had passed away. Instead of feeding into what was clearly an attempt at gathering sympathy or attention where everyone could see, I messaged her privately, letting her know she had no right or reason to comment that on a post that had nothing to do with it. She ended up going off on me, as well as saying my drinker of a dad and something along the lines of me honoring a woman who stole me from her.
What is she talking about?
She is upset that I think OP got a tattoo of her paternal grandmother.
Yeah, and she's like, you're my daughter.
And she's like, yeah,
You
well,
don't even love me.
You had a grandma on my side too, and she's gone.
She doesn't have a tattoo on your body.
Where's her tattoo?
Only give tattoos to the grandparents you like.
I tried to defend myself, as well as my family, who, mind you, when my parents were together, did everything they could to make my mom feel included and loved. And along the way, my mom told me to go F myself and blocked me. You gotta love it when the trash takes itself out.
Yeah, good riddance.
A few months later, she ended up unblocking me, and I told her my boundaries about being in my life and things that I wouldn't tolerate her saying. Fast forward to now, I was so excited about my pregnancy, and at the time, we both had a somewhat normal relationship with one another, so I was especially excited to share the news with my mom. Mind you, I am my mom's only child as well as her only daughter. I told my mom in the beginning that I didn't want it posted or announced anywhere that I was pregnant due to being afraid of the chance of a lost pregnancy, especially since I've heard it's bad luck to tell a lot of people early on, which at first she respected.
I will say, like, future reference, when you have someone who you have kind of a rocky relationship with who's already kind of shown that they're not to be that trusted on social media, maybe we wait until we're ready for everyone to know.
Yeah.
Before we tell her.
When your mom's
as
a
excited as you
boundary
are.
stomper.
Yes.
She's making that. Oof, never mind, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, she's stomping the boundaries.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
You got to expect that she's going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
In early February, my mom sent me a message telling me to text or call my grandfather, her dad. At the time, I was at a doctor's appointment with my boyfriend, so I told her I wasn't able to at the current moment due to being at the doctor's, but that I would get a hold of him later once I was done. She immediately told me how my grandfather was trying to get a hold of me and how he's about to be a great-grandfather, so he's obviously just excited. I told her once again I'd be able to message him later and that in the current moment, I was busy. She proceeded to tell me how I should be able to make time to speak with him, considering he's in his 70s and who knows how long he has left on this earth to talk to his granddaughter, to which I told her I'm aware of just how fast it can be to lose a family member, seeing as by this point in time, I'd not only lost both of my grandmothers, but my great-grandmom and one of my other grandfathers. I told her that guilt-tripping me, as well as gaslighting me, was not going to make me message anyone faster, especially when I myself have a lot going on. She proceeded to tell me that it wasn't gaslighting to remind me of how family was important, and that I must not care when it comes to her side of the family. Darvo, right? Was that Darvo? Deny. What is that? Accuse? And then reverse victim offender.
Deny, attack, reverse
Deny,
victim,
attack.
and offender.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, I wasn't gaslighting you. You just don't care about your family.
You hate me.
And I guess I suck.
You're attacking me.
Keep in mind, Most of my life, I wasn't even in contact with her side of the family due to her actions, and only just recently got more in contact with them. I told her that I cherish the fact that I still have 2 living grandfathers and don't take either one of them for granted, but that the phone goes both ways, and he could also reach out to me. She responded that sometimes I need to be the one to make the effort. I told her that it was in fact gaslighting to tell me, while I'm already in an emotional state, that my grandfather doesn't have much time left to speak to his granddaughter, and that I don't mean anything I've said in a rude way.
I don't know if it's gaslighting, but it is guilt tripping.
Yeah. She told me I was being straight up rude and disrespectful, and that my boyfriend means more than anyone else because in the end, that's all you have, right? Girl, shut up. I'm at the doctor for the baby
That's
that I'm
not
gonna have.
just boyfriend. That's baby daddy.
Shut your mouth, Mom.
That's baby daddy.
Or if that is your real name, because you didn't freaking raise me. It was my dad's mom, my
Shoo-shoo.
grandmother, who raised me.
Shoo fly. I don't want to talk
Shut
to you
your
anymore.
freaking mouth. Blocked, literally. Block. I'll unblock you after my doctor's appointment. I informed her at this point she was just disrespecting me and taking things a completely different way than what was meant, and that once she was done with this childish act, she'd be able to have updates about me and my child's life. She proceeded to tell me how my other family did a good job at keeping her out of my life, and how I can keep my ignorant attitude here in the state I live where it belongs. Then told me that she hopes me and my baby have a great life. Blocked. She said some more things that ultimately hurt deep down because I was always fighting for a relationship with her my whole life. So I won't put it on here. I'm sorry, OP, that sucks. I told her I hoped this, my pregnancy, would be something that would make us closer together, but that ultimately she hadn't changed at all from when she blocked me before, and then I blocked her. A few hours, not even, later, a friend of mine, as well as a cousin of mine, texted me asking me if I had seen what my mom posted on her Facebook.
Oh no.
I would have said, nope, I'm unbothered by my mother.
I don't actually care. Goodbye.
They ended up sending me a screenshot of the post, and it ended up being a whole rant about me and her announcing my pregnancy to the world just because she was upset. I'll include a picture of the post, but please leave any personal details out due to not wanting any more drama. I've battled with my own emotions ever since then regarding if I should or shouldn't unblock her.
No.
Definitely don't unblock her.
No, don't unblock her if you're just gonna unblock her to be like, why would you do that? Blah blah blah. Take that down. Like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna do anything. So just
Probably-
what's done is done. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It sucks. Keep her blocked. Announce it when you're ready. You still don't have to go and say like, oh well, she's announced it, so now I have to go tell everyone. It's like, no.
Yeah, there's if you unblock her, that's probably exactly what she wants because she probably realized that none of her messages or calls were going through, and then was like, fine. If you're gonna block me, fine. I'll just
Yeah.
just keep her blocked.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I the a-hole or overreacting? What, for blocking your mom for hijacking your pregnancy
Nope.
announcement and talking to you like that? Absolutely not.
No.
There's an update. Before we get into it, though, what conditions need to be met for an unblocking to happen here?
I mean, she would have to come and be like, I'm so sorry. I've been going to therapy. I've realized the errors of my way.
Yeah, I think therapy would probably be a precondition for that.
Yeah.
Like,
Otherwise, she's just like, absolutely nothing has changed.
right, it would just be like I'm saying whatever I need to say right now to get you
To get access to my
get what I
grandkid.
want. I'll do whatever. I am now 36 weeks pregnant, and the plan is to induce me at 37 weeks due to the size of my daughter being on the smaller side, for those who may want an update on my pregnancy. Also, for clarification on the update, my mom lives in a different state than I do and has since I was about 11 or 12 years old. One thing that happened was my mom ended up creating a new Instagram account and tried to request to follow me on it.
No.
My account on Instagram is private, so she couldn't see anything I've posted.
Good.
I didn't accept it or deny it, and still to this day, it's been sitting in my follow requests because I'm not personally ready to extend an olive branch to her myself.
Then you might never be ready, and that's okay.
Yeah, you don't ever have to. Like I said, she's got to do stuff
Yeah. It's on
before
her to
she's
fix herself.
earned the olive branch.
I agree.
I didn't flat out block her just in case she tried to message me apologizing or even just acknowledging where she may have gone wrong. I also didn't accept her request because I didn't want her to access anything I've posted, which I mentioned later on as well in this post, and use it to post on her own accounts to make the world believe she's been actively involved this entire time. A few weeks ago, maybe 3 to 4 at most, I had a friend, Amber, who lives in the state my mom does, contact me to tell me that my mom came into her job which isn't out of the ordinary since she works at a local store in the area my mom lives in. Amber knows what happened between my mom and me, as well as other family members who live in the same state. I made it known to everyone who lives around her that I didn't want my mom to be given any information on me, my daughter, or my pregnancy, due to knowing my mom would just use it to post on Facebook and act like she's the greatest parent in the world, something she's done in the past. My mom walked up to the register and began to try to lie to Amber to make it seem like she did nothing wrong, stating that she just messaged to give a call to my grandfather and that I just started to freak out on her. She then proceeded to ask Amber what name me and my boyfriend had decided for the baby, as well as any other information on me. Amber acted as if she had no information, telling her that we had a list of names, but that I didn't tell her what we chose. You should have just lied.
Yeah.
In the moment, you should have lied and said a bunch of stuff that's not true at all.
Rain.
We're going to name her Shanice.
Her name's Apple Tree.
We're naming her Beetroot.
Her name's Bilbo.
And then you should have been like, yeah, and OP actually just had to amputate their leg,
Yeah.
which is normal for pregnancy right now. I don't know. It's kind of a trend. Yeah, just say a bunch of stuff, and then when she posts it on Facebook,
Lie.
everyone will be like, what are you
What are
talking
you
about?
talking
You're
about?
unhinged.
You're crazy, lady.
Yeah, can't fault Amber for not,
Yeah.
got to be able to stick and move to get that one.
She's just not quick enough. Gotta think on your feet.
A few days after that, Amber gets a message from my mom mentioning she'd like Amber to ask me for the link to my registry so she can see and figure out things I wanted or needed for the baby, which wouldn't be a big deal in hindsight, except for the part she specifically told Amber that she didn't need to tell me that she was asking for it. The message was left unread, according to my knowledge, especially given the fact I hadn't sent Amber the registry in general, because I didn't want anyone to feel obligated to send or buy anything if they couldn't. And by the way, I want you to feel obligated to listen to full episodes of stories like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
You have to do it.
You're obligated now to search OK Storytime, where you can listen to over 71 days worth of stories.
Oh boy.
It's a lot of stories.
It's a lot of stories.
It's over 2 months worth of
It's
stories.
a lot of story.
We have a little bit more story left. Do we have anything to add, folks?
No, I think what OP's doing is great. I think keep her on an information diet, keep her blocked, keep your distance.
Agreed. Rilito?
She's about to lose some weight in a informational sense. The mother.
Yes.
Yeah, she's got no more information. Wait, let's finish this.
Woo.
I still haven't been in contact with my mom ever since those first messages, and she has done everything in her power to avoid coming to me directly to apologize or even ask how I've been doing. She just tried to go through one of my friends or even asked one of my aunts, her sister, if they'd heard anything or spoken to me. I don't feel as though I'm the a-hole in this situation, but the closer I get to delivering, the more I feel the sadness and somewhat guilt of not having my own mom around during a time I always imagined she would be the biggest supporter for me. Ilf. But
Yeah.
c'est la vie, because your mom sucks.
No, it sucks that you don't have that, like just don't have a supportive mom, but yeah, don't bring your mom back into the fray thinking that she'll be that, because she's not that, unfortunately. And that's the loss, is that you don't have a mom who is that,
That is true.
that can fill that role.
That is a very astute,
Yeah.
very astute summary right there. Yeah.
But we got another story coming right up.
I reconnected with my ex, and now I'm questioning everything.
What is the meaning of all of this?
They're an ex for a reason. My name is Richard, 26 male. My wife's name is Barbara, 26 female. My ex's name is Corey, 24 female. And her husband, who probably won't show up in the story, but just in case, is Bruce, 24 male, I think. If you get the naming scheme, sorry. I'm a big nerd sometimes, and names are hard. By the way, this comes from user hopelesslyinlove0321, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. My name's Keon,
And I'm Angie.
and Opie says, my ex, Corey, and I started dating in middle school. We didn't actually go out and stuff, but we were together. I don't know. Middle school relationships are very weird. So, at the very least, we have a very extensive history. We broke up and got back together maybe 3 times before we really started dating when I was a junior and she was a sophomore. Originally, she was dating a girl, but she wasn't happy with her, and I convinced her to go back out with me. P.S. I already know I'm not a good person, and this is not the last time you will see me do something awful. All right. Okay. At least you're aware. I'm older and trying to be more mature about things, but I still make mistakes and do my best to make up for them. Eventually, we had spicy sleep for the first time, making Corey my first everything. Then we found out she was pregnant.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh.
I had already decided I was going into the military.
Oh no.
At one point, my buddy at the recruiting station told me that if I signed the baby's birth certificate, I would be held back from going to boot camp and would be forced to wait another year before going. I did not want this. I was about to have a daughter, and I needed money to support them. The military was the only way to get that. Other than trade school, I didn't know then what I know now. Fast forward 8 months, I get my final shipping date, and I let my ex know. At the time, I believe she was okay with me going. I let her find out she felt abandoned. Some things I can't take back that I would now, I guess. The next month, my daughter, Robin, now 6 female, is born. I stayed at my ex's house to help take care of Robin. At the time, we were kind of not together because we broke up, then got together, then I cheated. Long story, maybe another time.
Dang, man.
All right, again, you did give us the forewarning that
Right.
you are kind of not a good person.
Yeah.
The next month, I ship out and go through boot camp, writing letters home to family and my ex. At this point, our relationship was kind of together / not together, on and off. Figure it out. Just yes or no. There's no
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
At this point in your life, you should be no, we're done, or
Right.
yes, we're together. Come boot camp graduation, she comes to see me with our daughter and my parents, and we have a good time together. I get to go home and spend time with her before I go back to do job training. We spent most of the 10 days together before I go do my job training. While doing job training, I am texting whenever I can to give her updates and ask about the baby. She was healthy and fine, and that made me the happiest. Also, during this time, I'm also talking to another girl who isn't important, so I won't name her.
I
So
don't
why
know.
the heck are you
Yeah.
OP?
I don't know. She sounds pretty important here.
I'm
OP.
struggling to really be on your side right now because
Yeah.
okay. My ex finds out and we break up for the first time while I was in the military. I finish job school. I get my first duty station in the middle of nowhere. Again, to be anonymous, I cannot say it. During this time, I would go home for my daughter's birthday whenever I could, and we would start things up again. Partially. It was mainly for spicy sleep. Bad. This is bad. This is all bad.
OP.
I'm not sure if that's how it was for sure, but after I would leave, we would fight, then break up again. This would go on for a while until I come home after breaking up / hooking up. I decide this isn't healthy for me. I decided I wanted to move on, so I downloaded Tinder and eventually met my wife, Barbara. We went on a couple dates. I was very happy and posting about our dates. Very seriously, not thinking about if my ex saw them. Well, she did, and she was not happy. We got into a huge argument, which ended with her giving me an ultimatum. Choose her and try to fix what we had and be in my daughter's life, or choose my wife, girlfriend at the time. After being tired of the toxic relationship we had, I decided I wanted to give my relationship with my girlfriend my attention. Something I wonder if I regret now.
OP, you can't say that. I was reading this and thinking okay, first of all, thought it was already over between, the OGX and NOP. Apparently not. Okay, maybe it's good that we're working on the relationship with the girlfriend. I feel like this could go in a good direction. Maybe this is what makes him turn around, but then he just hits us with it. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't know. I have a really hard time organizing my thoughts and feelings. After the choice was made, we decided to go our separate ways for almost 4 years.
Whoa.
My wife and I get married. We have a kid, get a house, and we're trying to get by. We've had some rough times, mainly me. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I have cheated on her multiple times.
Great, sure.
And her, being the patient saint she is, gave me multiple chances until she gave me the last one, which I have not broken. I have stayed faithful, wrong, and really worked on myself to be a good partner and father to my son, Damien, now 3 male. I think you like Batman. You said you were nerdy. Barbara, Bruce. Oh, I know you, OP. Now, I'm back home trying to find a job since I'm out of the military, and I try to make contact with my ex so I can see my daughter. I've slightly kept up with her through cyberstalking, where she works. She got married, which honestly broke my heart, but who I am to say that since I got married first. She looked very well and healthy and still amazing. Initially, the contact did not go well, but recently we decided to meet and talk about being able to be in my daughter's life. We meet alone at a cafe, and we walked in. Dang, she looked great. Hey. You have a wife.
You have a wife. You've been doing so well, apparently, recently, for being faithful. This is probably what should also be thought about. You should you should stop yourself from having these thoughts before you cheat on your wife again.
My heart skipped a beat. My stomach was in knots, and everything that I felt for her came rushing back. You suck.
Yeah.
You genuinely suck.
Yeah.
She berated me for contacting her and told me how she successfully raised our daughter. She did amazingly, might I add, with no help from me, because you suck.
Yeah, obviously.
That girl is doing great things, and it made me so happy to see her in pictures. The whole conversation, I stayed civil. That was my purpose. I wanted to stay civil and be friendly so I can see my daughter and hopefully develop a relationship with her. But the whole time talking to Corey, I just could not stop thinking about, what if this and what if that? What if I chose to stay with her and raise my daughter? Then my beautiful son wouldn't have been born, and my wife and I would not have the relationship we have now. Even now, a week later, I am still thinking about her. We text on the phone, but I think that's just to build a friendship so that we can be comfortable around each other and my daughter. Maybe I'm just overthinking things, but I cannot get Corey out of my head. I still love her, and I don't know what to do. I do know what you should do. You should listen to full episodes with stories just like this one by going to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or whatever that is, and search up OK Storytime.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little bit left. I don't like OP. I don't like OP.
Sometimes I guess you can have feelings that you can't be in control of.
It's love. There is
Sure.
a love there,
Mm-hmm.
but that is a different kind of love. Like I can love from afar.
Right. Like yeah, exactly. It's like I feel like if you notice your feelings, you should make a decision on what you want to freaking do instead of just like toying with these girls. You should, think like, oh, okay, well, I have a wife right now. I should be loyal to her. So even though I am feeling these feelings, I'm going to notice that and try to put a stop to it.
Go, those feelings down.
Exactly.
Bad boy.
Exactly.
We've been through this way too many times.
Right. And also, too, it's just like, I feel like a good way to look at if you want to get back into a relationship is think about what it would be like for them. Yeah, you would want them. They seem like great people. Both of these women seem like great people. But, like, you clearly have not been great to them. So I feel like you should think about that and be like, yeah, no, they don't deserve to be in a relationship with me. You know?
Exactly. OP, what I'm getting from this is you're really selfish.
Yeah.
It's whatever you want to do, and you don't get any consequences for what you like. I can cheat on her. Nothing's bad's gonna happen.
No.
Oh, I made my decision to leave my ex-wife
Yeah.
and my daughter to have another life, but now I think I want that back.
Yeah, dude needs to go to therapy and see like what he thinks is missing in his relationship and see what he's looking for. Because if he does make the switch and goes back to the first ex,
Right.
it's like then eventually he's just gonna be like, oh well, what if this, what if that? It's like no, make a decision and stick to it, or just be single. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let's get to this story. I told my wife. I figured I shouldn't hide things from her, and she deserved to know. She's giving me time to think, and the thought has crossed my mind to leave her. She said if I did leave, it would be mutual and no bad blood. I can see my son whenever I want and call to see him and try to be friends with her. My question is, Reddit, what do I do? Can someone help me organize my thoughts? I know I'm not a good person, so please don't mention it. I know. You are. I called myself everything that some of you probably haven't even thought of. I'm just asking for advice. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. P.S. My wife is not here at home with me. She's tying up some loose ends at our house before we move. May there have some comments. Angie, before we get the comments, I want to give you advice, but you don't deserve any of this.
I think, dude.
That's where I'm coming at. You don't deserve for hurting these kids and these
Yeah.
women in your life.
Yeah.
You don't deserve the happiness. I mean, yes, everyone deserves happiness, but you've had so many freaking chances.
Yeah.
Time and time again, not from your new wife, but also your ex-wife.
Right.
You don't deserve any of this.
Yeah.
And we just have some comments that really just call you out. Let's see if there's anything. Yeah, comment 1 is literally, what the F is wrong with you? Comment 2, yikes. Honestly, you sound like a really crappy human, buddy. The tone of this whole post is almost like pleading for help, like none of this is in your control.
Yeah.
You honestly need to let your wife go. She deserves better than some wishy-washy excuse of a baby daddy.
Mm-hmm.
She deserves a man who's going to want her and care for her and not hurt her. You don't want your ex. You were just a commitment phobe looking for a way to justify yet again wanting to step out on your wife. Comment 3. It's shocking how you abandoned your daughter and cheated on your current wife multiple times, and now you're considering cheating on her again. Grow up and let your wife go. She deserves better. They all deserve better.
Yeah.
Comment 4. What do? You bury these feelings for your ex deep until they disappear and stay faithful to your wife. Or get divorce papers today. What we don't do is waffle back and forth on your commitments because you feel giddy like a teenager again. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yes. You know what? You leave your wife. Be single.
Yeah.
You don't deserve any. I'm sorry, OP.
Yeah.
I can't feel bad for you.
Right. It's like if you feel like a bad person, you know, you have the chance to turn around.
You have an
do.
addiction. You have an addiction to something on you like. I feel like you just love doing this.
Right. Like, you know, just because you're a bad person right now doesn't mean that eventually if you get better and stuff, you don't deserve like a good relationship. Like you do. You can get there. But think about what these women deserve, dude. You know you're a bad person right now. You know you messed
literally
up so
call
many
yourself
times.
out. I'm a
Yes.
bad person. I know.
So-
I've called everything in the book.
Right.
But like, I still want to keep doing this to be a
Exactly.
bad person.
So if you actually love both of these women, stay away from both of them. All right? Please.
My wife is worried about our son's behavior, but he got it from her.
Oh, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree now, does it?
And there is a trigger warning here for mentions of my 48 male wife, Mary, 50 female, has always coddled our son, Mickey, 28 male. What a darling. Mickey was born premature and spent time in the NICU. Mary was very protective of him. She was a helicopter parent and constantly overextended herself for Mickey's sake. And by the way, this comes from user Original Station 321. One thing that annoyed me was that she would constantly hug and kiss our son. That wasn't a problem. The problem was she would be sad and moody if he didn't give her one. She also had a payment for a kiss thing with Mickey. I tried to tell her Mickey would grow older and he wouldn't appreciate being coddled by his mom so much, but she was convinced her precious baby boy wouldn't be a mean, nasty man who hated hugs and kisses. And I guess she was right. Mickey got married a few years ago to Diane. She is a stand-up woman with a good head on her shoulders. She's straightforward and logical. I was a little worried about Mary because everyone knows how mothers and daughter-in-laws don't get along, but she loved Diane, at least until Mickey came to her with his marital problems.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, you're running and telling on your wife to your moms?
Come on.
I mean, I guess that's right. I mean, you can do that, but like, that's gonna be,
it's gotta be limits.
it's not gonna be an impartial opinion.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, I guess sometimes it could be, but it doesn't sound like your mom's gonna be impartial.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be like, what did she do to my baby?
Right, right. She's just gonna be all. Mark my words.
Mark
She's gonna
my
say,
words. She's gonna make those noises.
Yep.
In the past couple of years, he told Mary Diane was drifting away from him. They were very close to being separated, though I don't think my son would have ever divorced her. Long story short, Diane passed out at the wheel
Oh.
and got into a nasty accident.
Wow.
She was later told she had a autoimmune disease that has fatigue as a side effect. Diane needs a wheelchair most of the time, but she's not paralyzed. Mickey's been taking care of her, and he's doing a pretty good job. They seem to have a happy and stronger marriage. Today, my wife was a nervous wreck. She told me Mickey and Diane visited. Our town is not wheelchair friendly, so Diane needs a lot of help. Mary told me that Mickey asked Diane to pay him with hugs and kisses, and he was smothering her with affection. Okay, it's his wife. I asked Mary if Diane seemed afraid, upset, or annoyed, and she said no. I told Mary I didn't see a problem with an inside joke between a married couple. Mary burst out that it was wrong because of how helpless Diane was. I told her that 1,
Diane wasn't helpless. And 2, our son's ridiculous behavior was her fault. Mary modeled that hugs and kisses were required to show love, and Mickey was doing what he learned. I mean, he learned the whole paying with a kiss thing from Mary. She stormed off and has been giving me the silent treatment. Am I the a-hole? No, it sounds like your wife is jealous of her son's partner for some reason.
Yeah, that's always a weird thing that we find in these stories of the mom being jealous of the daughter-in-law getting love from the son.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
It's
just
weird.
Yeah, it's gross.
She's being like, well, I used to do that with him.
Yeah.
But, she's not saying that outright, but she's trying to spin it in like, well, what if Diane's uncomfortable and helpless?
Right.
It's like, well, she certainly doesn't seem that way.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
seems like they've turned the inside joke / whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It wasn't really a joke between you two, but now it's
Yeah.
just a little cute thing.
Yeah,
Like a little cute thing in the couple.
Yeah. You should be happy. Be like, oh, look, he's passing on that cute thing that I did. He's carrying it through to his lovely wife.
Yeah, instead it's like, I am the only one who should have that kind of
Right.
relationship with my son.
Weird alert.
Very weird, overbearing mom activities.
Yep.
We have some comments. Number 1, not the a-hole. Overall, it seems like your wife's ridiculousness worked out. I don't think this arrangement of paying with affection would have started when Diane got sick. It probably happened earlier in their relationship. And if Diane didn't like it, she would have communicated that at some point, hopefully. Your wife is butting into your son's relationship. There could be a number of reasons for that, but ultimately, it should stop. Sit her down and tell her that Diane is ill, but she's still of sound mind and can make her own decisions. This is a relationship dynamic that doesn't have to do with her illness, and it should be between Diane and Mickey. While it is 100% your wife's fault that Mickey does this, it's not productive to point it out to her, so you may want to avoid that. Good luck, OP. OP replies, it probably didn't start when Diane got sick, but I know Mickey did it a lot more. I think he feels guilty and worried for Diane's health, so he's showing his love the best way he knows how. I don't know why my wife is so upset. I would have thought she would be flattered and boast that she was right. Reply says she's upset because that was her thing with Mickey, and she doesn't want him doing it with anyone else. Pretending Diane is forcing it is a way of trying to put a stop to it. Another reply says, I don't think she's concerned. I think she's shocked that her thing with her little boy is now part of his and his wife's relationship. And there is an update. I agree with those comments.
Yeah, me too.
I don't even think it's so weird to me that it's like the first one is like, yeah, sit her down and explain to her. It's like this shouldn't even be an explain thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's 2 people in a marriage and he's doting upon his
Yeah.
wife in a whatever. It's cute.
Exactly.
It's cute, okay?
It's just cute.
It's
Because
cute.
There's a lot of things like that when you're a kid. It's like, yeah, kids and their moms will like cuddle or something like that. Like that's not something that you own, just because it's your son. It's like, yeah, he's gonna want to cuddle with his wife. It's like it feels like the same kind of thing.
Yes, and
Like-
we do have an update.
I'm
Let's-
curious.
Let's get a little deeper into this. A lot of the responses said that my wife Mary was jealous of Diane, our daughter-in-law, or inappropriately close with Mickey, our son. But she welcomed Diane with open arms and treated her as the daughter she never had. We invited Diane and Mickey over for a bite, well, at least Mary did. She commented a few times under her breath that Mickey was doing too much PDA and sent him to the grocery store. Then she interrogated Diane on if she felt comfortable, if anything was bothering her, and told Diane to let her know if anything ever worried her, because Mary would pick her up. No judgment. I was baffled. Diane thanked Mary, but said she was fine. Mickey came back and we had a nice time, though I noticed Mary kept an eye on them the entire time they were at our home. After they were gone, I turned to Mary and asked her what the heck she was doing. She stammered that she has no idea what I'm talking about. I told her that she was being really weird and asked her point blank if she was jealous that Mickey was doing their thing, so to speak, with Diane. She broke down and said she wasn't jealous. She was downright uncomfortable. Then she told me that she hated the way Mickey used an innocent thing between mother and child for husband and wife. You own the patent on hugs and kisses?
Come on, dude.
Are you
Come
serious?
on. That's crazy.
Those were totally
dude.
mine. Those were my kisses and hugs.
Yeah. She's like, ew, like something that a mother and son would do, a wife and his husband are doing. Ew, disgusting.
You've soiled the sanctity of my hugs and kisses.
Yeah, that's just so, it's got no logic behind it.
Just very strange.
Yeah.
So, I asked her why it bothered her. She said that it looks bad, a man demanding affection in exchange for helping his physically disabled wife. She emphasized that Diane was more helpless here than she could be. We lived in a mountainous town that's not really wheelchair friendly. Diane can't drive anymore, and she had to rely on Mickey. Mary had to ask Diane and make sure she was really okay. I asked her if she had so little trust in her own son to just be a good person. Mary said her own father seemed like a good person to others, but he was not a good father or husband. Mary's late mother was physically disabled and likely had anxiety and depression because of her disability and her husband's controlling behavior. She wasn't allowed to go out of the house and had no money. Her husband threatened to throw her in an asylum if she tried to leave with or without the kids. So, Mary's mother, my mother-in-law, would reward children with kisses and hugs if they helped her out. They did chores like washing dishes or laundry, or helping her make a meal in exchange for extra hugs and kisses since her mother didn't have an allowance to give them. Her mother passed away when she was a teenager. Mary had never mentioned much of her childhood before now. Mary passed that tradition down to Mickey, but changed it a little bit since she liked to spoil him. Seeing it in a non-parent-to-child context and with Diane being physically disabled was pretty disturbing to Mary, and she was getting panic attacks thinking about it. Well, I think that this is a little illuminating. Maybe it's more about our childhood trauma.
Isn't it always?
Yes, the classic. But come on. I don't think that your son is going to equate to your father here.
Yeah,
These are not the same situation.
exactly.
Mickey, however, does look like his grandfather. He takes after Mary's features, so I think it also made her upset. I sat her down and said that I understood where she was coming from, and we could figure it out together. I called up Mickey and told him the history behind his grandparents. Mickey said he got why it's triggering his mom, and he wouldn't do it in front of Mary anymore. Mary said that she felt hurt. I assumed she was jealous and insecure of Diane instead of worried for her. Well, you got to understand optically, that's exactly what it looks like, though. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just being honest.
right.
I deeply hurt her feelings, and I apologized, but she's still hurt. And there is an edit. I got messages saying I was unclear on what Mickey was doing that made my wife so upset. So, Mary's mother would give Mary a hug and a kiss for doing the dishes, for example. Mary would give her mom a hug for making dinner or sewing up her clothes, since her mom didn't have much energy. When Mary had Mickey, she would get him ice cream or a trip to the park and ask for a hug in exchange. Now, when Diane needed help getting in our house, Mickey would joke that he would help in exchange for a kiss, or he would help her at meals and ask for a hug or a kiss then. Now, Mickey would never not help his wife if she didn't give him a kiss, just like Mary wouldn't have denied him a snack or a trip to the park as a kid if he didn't want a hug. But it's triggering for Mary because of her past. Mickey promised to stop making the kiss as a payment joke, but not stop being affectionate with Diane. I feel bad because Mary said I assumed the worst of her. Maybe it was the natural conclusion, but I shouldn't have accused her and just asked her what was going on. I mean, optically, that looks like exactly what was happening. So I
Yeah.
just say sorry. Say, I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know the things I don't know.
right. I only know what you tell me. And if you don't tell me, I don't know.
And we've got some comments here. Comment 1, this absolutely makes sense as a trauma response. But speaking as an abuse survivor myself, maybe your spouse should consider talking to a therapist to help unpack this. The first panic attacks or irrational to the outside observer responses are often just the tip of the iceberg, and there's a chance a lot more of these issues will start bubbling up. Your daughter-in-law's physical disabilities being similar enough to her mother's could uncover a number of triggers she may not have known about. A second comment responds, your wife's story was so sad about her mom. Goes to show you never know what's really going on with someone. Your wife clearly has a lot of past trauma to work through, and I'm glad there is open communication because I assumed she was jealous too. Good luck going forward. And that is the end of that story. Well, I guess that's why it's valuable to not make assumptions and instead
Sure.
ask,
Yeah.
for open honesty.
That's why we like communication, people. That's why we like it.
Yeah.
Yay for communication.
My fiance demanded my son's benefits to pay rent, but I'm standing my ground.
Those aren't your benefits.
My son, 15 male, receives $1,100 a month in Social Security survivor benefits from his late father, who passed away when my son was 5. My boyfriend, 40 male, and I have been in an on-again, off-again relationship for a long time. Things have been good recently, and he has proposed. We are now planning on getting a house together. By the way, this comes from original entry 7871. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon with an allergy.
And we both have allergies.
Yeah, it's not great.
But we're still here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments.
We just have allergies over here.
Just have allergies. And OP says, I have my son and he has 3 children, but only one of his kids would be living with us full time. The house we are looking at is $2,500 a month. My boyfriend's proposed budget is for him to pay $950, for me to pay $950, and for us to use $600 from my son's check for the household. He suggests we can then put the remaining $500 from the check into savings. My current practice is to give my son half of his check, $550, for his personal use, and save the other half for him. I think that since he is almost 17, he should have some control over his own money. My boyfriend disagrees completely. He thinks that since we're going to be a family, all the money should be pooled together for shared expenses. He thinks I'm wrong and selfish for not wanting to include the survivor benefits in the May budget. We've been going back and forth on this, and I'm feeling incredibly uncomfortable with his expectation. I feel like the benefits are my son's and should not be used to reduce the adult's portion of the bills. It feels like he's trying to make me subsidize the household using money that was meant for my son's care and future, not to pay his own share of the bills. Am I wrong here? Is it selfish to keep my son's check separate and manage it for his benefit alone? Or is my boyfriend's financial expectation a red flag for a future together? Some of OP's comments. Commenter says he doesn't need $550 a month. He should have a job for spending money. Go see a lawyer about options with his house. Get a cohab agreement. What if he says I'm not paying mortgage share or utilities, etc.? You can't punt out. Don't give your boyfriend any money as it's your son's. OP says he does have a job, but he has a car, so that money goes for gas and upkeep. And because he's in school, he doesn't work a lot, only like 2 days a week. Commenter says, is he 15 or almost 17? Because I'm reading both ages in the post. The son will stop receiving benefits at age 18 or when he graduates high school, whichever is later. So they shouldn't be budgeting anything short-term like that into a budget. That being said, the money is the son's, and he should not be paying a portion of someone else's mortgage as a minor. OP says, almost 17. I was typing fast. And he works as well. He has a car, but he only works 2 days a week, so he pays for his car and fast food and stuff like that, and he also saves. He has his own savings outside of the savings that I have for him. Well, that's good. Commenter says, I think everyone has given you some great advice, but just wanted to reiterate that he will only receive survivor benefits until he's 18 or out of school. So really short term to be using anything like that for budgeting. Good luck. Please advocate for your son. My son receives survivor's benefits as well, and I'd never consider pulling money that wasn't directly for his care. OP says, yes, this is the way I feel about it, so I don't include it in my budget at all, but I do understand that giving him all the money is not a great idea once he became a teenager. I slowly increased his budget. Now he has a car, and he's paying for the maintenance of that gas, and he works part-time as well. He also saves his money separately from the savings that I'm saving from him, and saves. Commenter says, also, if OP should pay a portion, the boyfriend should pay a portion, and OP's son should pay a portion, what about the 3 kids from the boyfriend? If we're going by his logic, and the kids should be putting into the fund, why are his kids not contributing, especially the one that will be with them full time? OP says, this is the argument that I have, but he's saying that I'm wrong for this. I'm totally willing to cut off the relationship behind us. I just wanted your guys' opinion so I could show him that I'm not wrong. Commenter says, What's his kid paying to live there? I'm not trying to be mean at all, but do you care about your kid? If so, you wouldn't let this on again, off again man steal from him. OP says he said that his kids shouldn't have to pay because they don't get a check from the government.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Wow. Yep. You should be off again.
Yeah.
Go back to off again.
Off. Done.
Stay off.
Yep.
To the many, many, many people telling OP to break up with him, OP says, right, and I'm totally willing to cut the relationship off about this, and after reading all of the comments, I'm probably just going to go ahead and end it, even if he backs up on his statements after seeing this. Commenter says, just curious, are these Social Security survivor benefits? If so, does your boyfriend realize that these benefits end when your son turns 18? How does he propose to fill the financial gap once that happens? OP says, yes, they are. I said that to him as well. Commenter says, I'm so proud of you, honey. You totally got this. Just imagine how much more calm life will be when it's just the two of you. OP says, thank you. Luckily, we don't live together now, and honestly, I'm happy. This conversation came up today. It's making me rethink everything. I'm going to give him back the ring and call everything off. Everyone just reinforced what my gut told me. I'm not crazy, and it's wrong before I made this post. I was really feeling like it wasn't going to work, and this would be my hill to pass away on. But all of these comments really opened my eyes. I got to work on my people-pleasing tendencies and start trusting my gut. And OP says, me and his dad weren't married. We were engaged when he got into his accident. That's why I didn't get benefits directly. Honestly, I make a decent income. I don't need the money, and I always look at it like that's not my money. That's his money. I grew up with a cousin who got a Social Security check because their mom was disabled, and they never got any of the money, and I saw how they felt as they got older. So when everything happened, I said I would never do that to my son once he got into 8th grade. I gradually started giving him more and more of the money for his pocket so he could start practicing budgeting when he turned 16. He got a 2023 car because his father passed away in an accident, and there was a settlement. He has money put up for college, and he should have some left after too. He works part-time, and he saves money on his own outside of the money that I have saved for him and his college fund. He's a pretty good kid, always been level-headed and mature. I've been blessed. Also, I don't give him the money all at once. It's about $125 a week. He also works, and his check is probably about $200, so he only has about $300 to $400 a week, and he saves a lot of it. He has a pretty big chunk saved up on his own again. He's a very responsible kid. He paid for his car maintenance, fast food dates with his girlfriend, or hanging out with his friends, or expensive clothes or shoes that I like outside of what I purchased for him. And there is an update 4 days later. But it does seem like OP's on the way to breaking up.
Yeah. And it also seems like OP's a very good parent.
Yeah, it
And-
seems like she's really helping her son with the budgeting stuff.
Yeah, I think everyone would support that. Like, yes, it is his money, but the fact that you're like, maybe we start small, because I mean, if you gave this boy
Any
all the money, he would be
teenager,
any teenager would be just like, I'm gonna spend it.
Yeah.
Usually. So good on you, and he seems like a good kid too. And you just don't need. Oh man, the fact that he's like, he needs to pay his portion. Like he's got
Ridiculous.
that money's from the government. It's for us. Like nah. Even
I
if
don't
he,
think so.
even if he did apologize for OP's boyfriend or fiance or whatever, whoever is gonna get broken up with very soon, it like even if he backed up on it, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I would have been like, nah, dude, that was really really whack. We're done.
I agree. Update 4 days later. Following my original post, I ended the relationship with my ex over the weekend.
Woo!
Nice. The breakup escalated into a heated argument with him repeatedly calling and threatening to go to my mother's and grandmother's homes to cause a scene. I had to call his mother to calm him down. By the way, you should never calm down about listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left, and we're going to dive right into it.
True colors are being shown right now.
Big time. This was the final straw for me in the argument. I also discovered he isn't paying child support for his minor child. Combined with his harmful and manipulative behavior, our engagement and plans to buy a house are off. For those who commented about the $500, my son is a very responsible young man whose college is already paid for. He has a car and a part-time job and saves a significant portion of his spending money. The issue was never about the amount, but about my ex's manipulation regarding our finances to gain control. I am now focused on my and my family's safety. I have blocked all contact and am documenting all threats in case legal action is needed. Thank you for your support. I am choosing my well-being and finally feel a sense of relief and strength. And that is the end of the story. My fiance's scam cost us our entire life savings, and he lied to cover it up.
This man's just full of lies.
My fiance was selling his old mountain bike online. Someone messaged him with an offer and said they would send the funds in advance, then have their cousin pick up the bike the next day. My fiance had promised me he would only accept pickup in person with cash in hand. By the way, this comes from throwaway account 424, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon, and you're probably questioning why I'm wearing these glasses.
We have allergies collectively, and they suck.
Something's in the air.
Pollen. And we're here to give good advice goofily regardless. But we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, for context, in Canada, the main way and safest way to transfer funds is through your bank. It's tied to your account, and you can only transfer what you actually have in the account, and there's a daily limit. It's also tied to your identity since it's connected to your bank account. My fiance told the buyer he would accept a transfer. That is when the scam started. The buyer sent the transfer but accidentally added an extra zero to the amount. My fiance told the buyer he would transfer it back since it was a mistake. The buyer then claimed he was locked out of his bank due to the mistake and asked my fiance to transfer the money to his cousin's account. My fiance did it. I have no idea why my fiance sent back the whole amount instead of just subtracting the payment for the bike. Then the buyer sent out another transfer and the same thing happened. Next, the buyer asked my fiance to use a different app that starts with a P, since he was still locked out of his bank account. He sent the money again, but with another extra zero and doubled it. My fiance once again sent back the funds. The buyer then asked if my fiance would take a check. They arranged to meet in person with the buyer's cousin, who gave my fiance a check for more than the agreed amount, calling it bonus for the trouble. My fiance deposited the check and even tried to use some of the funds. It turned out that the first transfer was from a stolen account due to identity theft, and it was reversed. The funds from the other app were also from a stolen account and were reversed. The check was fake and clawed back by the bank. On top of this, the transfers my fiance made to pay back the scammer were gone for good. Our entire savings account is gone. Everything we had saved for a down payment is gone. We were looking for a house, and now all of that is gone. I did not find out until after the fact. I get alerts anytime there's a transaction on our savings account, but my fiance deleted them. I do shift work, so I was asleep, and he went into my phone to delete the texts because he did not want me to find out he broke his promise about only accepting cash. I am so angry. I'm not an angry guy in general, but I am furious. We have been dealing with the bank and the app. No success. We took all the messages and even doorbell cam footage to multiple levels of police. It did not change anything. The bank says my fiance voluntarily made the transfers and cannot reverse them. The money is gone. Because of the fake check, our savings account was closed. My fiance's personal account was closed too. The bank told him to take his business elsewhere and that they will not provide mortgage services to us. My personal account is safe since I used a different bank, but it doesn't matter. We lost our down payment, our future house, and even our wedding venue because we had to cancel it just to get the deposit back so we could afford July rent. I warned my fiance that anyone claiming they could recover the money is lying. I will ignore them, and so should he. I'm devastated. I know it was just money. Okay, well, but it feels like a nightmare I cannot wake up from. More than the money, my fiance broke my trust. He lied to me, broke his promise, and hid everything. Right now, I do not even recognize him. Thanks for listening. Any advice, please? Malignant Indignant says, yeah, obviously no success. They literally warn you 10 plus times per app not to do this. They're not giving you anything. That money is long gone. Deleted says, I actually got to watch something similar in real time. A guy at the bank kept insisting he needed to transfer money to someone who was clearly scamming him. The teller went round and round with him that it was obviously a scam. He insisted it wasn't. He wanted the money. A supervisor came over and also went round and round. The guy eventually said he knew it might be a scam, but he wanted the money in case it wasn't. Finally, the supervisor told them they'd give him the money, but then they would close his account because he was willingly participating in fraud.
That's crazy. Yeah, he's like, I know it's a scam, but I want the money.
He said that was fine. So they gave him a cashier's check for all the money in his account and closed his account. Sometimes you can't save people. 2 cents worth for you says, I was that teller. What? I tried to help a long-time customer who just got through a divorce and had a huge chunk of change from the settlement. She got caught up in a romance scam. She never met Romeo in person, but developed a relationship virtually. They were initially introduced by someone whom she met on a cruise. Romeo was military, so he couldn't have social media. The amount of lies and reasons she believed that she was fed was staggering. He needed her help to get his share of pay of $2.1 million out of Afghanistan. All she had to do was send $8,000 to a person. She made a Western Union transfer of the amount. I asked her if she knew this person. She said no. I told her that she's being scammed. I did a stop to the transfer and managed to recover that money for her. She took all the info I gave her and left for the day. She returned a couple of days later, stating she needed another $50,000 transferred because customs had this container quarantined. She showed me pictures of it that the customs officer sent her. I asked to see the email address. Everything she showed me screamed of scammers. The email wasn't legit. She's getting so much pressure and guilt tripping from everyone too. I tried with everything I had to get her to see reason, but eventually we closed her accounts and she went elsewhere. I always wondered if she snapped out of it or got fleeced. Salt Operation said I would be rethinking my entire relationship if my partner did something this foolish.
I'm sorry. I think that's the first time we've ever seen
Like a commenter be like, yeah, that was, well, I don't know. Maybe they just had a very similar experience, but sounds pretty similar.
I mean, I think scams happen more common than you think. So if you're listening to this story and you know, come on. Don't be so trusting with that big of
Do
money.
Do not be trusting about sending large amounts of money or just any money. That's
Come
why,
on.
like, apps like Venmo will have, the phone verification.
Or like, are you sure you want to send this to this person? Or same thing with the other one.
Be careful where you send your information. Be careful what websites you're buying from.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you are using your savings account with your partner, maybe you should clear that with them first.
Yeah. I have a friend who bought some shoes online on a very sketchy website recently, and I was like, okay.
Even if it's like, and again, Amazon, even then it happens.
Yeah.
It
Careful. I think that actually the best thing to do is to always keep an eye on your credit card.
Yep.
And just check on your purchases.
I do that all the time.
I do it all the time. I always check on my purchases. I'm like, okay, do I recognize these things?
Even if it was like $2, I'm like, I didn't buy that.
Yeah.
Or if it, like $10. I was that petty. I would call the bank and be like, listen, $15. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, 1,000,000,000% wasn't me. Cancel that card.
Yeah.
Send me a new one. I don't like that.
Absolutely. But there's an update.
Yeah.
15 months later.
Oof.
It's been a rough year, but I, male 32, wanted to post an update because so many people were helpful and supportive in what was a dark time. My fiance David, male 33, had promised me he would only take cash in person when selling his old mountain bike. I don't know why he accepted advance payments from someone he never met. I don't know why he kept taking electronic payments when there were so many problems. I don't know why he took a check instead of cash when he met the buyer in person. He lied to me about that. He also tried to hide it from me when the money started to be clawed back. He turned off the text alerts options from our bank when I was sleeping, so I didn't realize what was going on or that money was getting clawed back. Losing the money when we were in the middle of looking for a house was devastating. What was even more devastating was David lying and trying to hide this from me. Between his lying, acting like this wasn't a big deal, losing our down payment, and having to cancel our wedding venue to get our deposit back so we could pay our rent, my relationship with David fell apart. I was so angry with him. I've spent the last year dealing with the police, the bank, and the other app and all of the wedding vendors we had to cancel on. The police say it is a common scam, and David wasn't the only victim they know about. Even worse than all that was David lying to me and doing this and not realizing he was being tricked out of our money. David and I had moved out here a few years ago because the house prices were the lowest in the country. By the way, we've got the highest amount of full episode stories just like this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Just search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, we saw it coming. We both
Oh,
agreed.
yeah.
If someone did this, if our partners did this,
It's done.
it
It's
does suck.
done.
It does suck. And the
Yeah.
fact that the police said it's It's more common than you think. Again, if you are listening
Yeah.
to this story, do not be one of those people getting scammed.
Yeah, I mean, don't be ashamed if you have been scammed, but like, don't lie to your partners. Don't, double check your accounts. If someone says they're related to you and they're texting you from an unknown number, let's fact check in person with these people. There's so many scams. There's like a
Even if you do
there's
know
an
people
email
like that,
scam.
even if you know people like that,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, we're like acquaintances.
Yeah.
Be careful with your money.
Careful, yeah.
Oh man,
There's
it's
so many scams
bad.
out there where people will text you and be like, "Hey, this is your mom or this is your aunt or blah blah blah. And can you Venmo me some money? Can you send me some money?"
Yeah,
And
I'm like,
especially if
no.
it's a text thing,
Oh,
you got the Apple Pay now.
Oh yeah,
you can
that's
send Apple money.
so common now. I hate it because it's like an awful. But thankfully my dad, even my dad's smart enough to be like, do you know what this is? What's
Yeah.
this about? I'm like, don't respond to that. Delete it. If you don't know the person,
Yeah, my
if you don't
mom
even
is-
know the person,
Don't
don't
do it. I have to. There was a scam that my mom was here. My mom just texted in September. She's end of September. She said, "There are tons of scam calls. So if either of you get a scam call claiming to be from Citibank or any other bank, hang up and immediately call your bank to verify. Banks never call you." That was just one that, like, from recently. I don't answer any calls of people I don't know.
The
So
funniest ones are like,
won't hurt me.
it's like a bank that I never use.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm
this is not even my bank.
and the first time I got that, I was like, do I have a Chase account? I even asked my
Yeah.
parents, like, do I have this bank?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, great, good to know.
Yeah. After we broke up, I heard David moved back to his home province. I'm staying here. I have a life here, a good job, and I'm not exactly on the best of terms with my family, but having to start over from scratch after what David did was hard. The last year was a dark time. Not the worst in my life, but close. David tried to say I was victim blaming him because I was angry. He said he tried to hide what happened because he was ashamed, and that's why we're breaking up. But he destroyed my trust and our relationship. Some days I still can't believe this happened. In short, my relationship with David is over. I had to find a new place to live. Our savings were lost, and I'm starting over from scratch. I'll be okay, but it was a hard year. Char Zero says, you weren't victim blaming, you were idiot blaming. Nick McSpear says, this is such an old scam too, not even new or clever. Odd Instruction says, this sort of thing is why people should have a separate account for day-to-day expenses, preferably in a different bank from saving accounts. And that's the end of that story, folks. But be careful with your money and break up with people who scam you and lie to you about the scams. I bought a new house with my boyfriend, but he refused to help.
That's your house now.
I bought a house with my partner, and we went 50-50. I'm the one looking into everything about guarantees and repairs. 2 weeks ago, I asked my partner to help me move boxes and furniture to make space for contractors to do some fixes. I told him I needed to clear the hallways, move the couch, and move a bunch of stuff upstairs and arrange it. And for that, I needed to assemble some shelves. I had already done over half of them by myself. It's just the push-in plastic kind. By the way, this comes from Clean Train 8270, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia,
I'm Keon.
and we both have allergies.
We both.
But we're here to give good advice goofily anyway.
That's how much we love you.
And we don't have all the answers, just allergies. We only know what we do.
With
So let
allergies.
us know what you would do about allergies in the comments.
Honey's not helping.
NOP says he was on a family trip, but said he would gladly help me when he got back, and that it should be no problem. I was very stressed and exhausted and had been moving stuff nonstop for some weeks due to a situation with my family. I asked him what day I should tell the contractors to come, and he chose the date. After he came back, I kept reminding him of all the things and asked if he wanted to do a little bit every day so it wouldn't be too much. He said it would be fine to do it last minute. He did help me one day to hold a hose while I cleaned some containers, and another day to move 8 boxes throughout the day. I was worried and literally asked him if he wouldn't bail out on me, and he said he wouldn't. The day before the contractors came, I kept asking if he wanted to start early, but he didn't. He said he needed a break and that we had been doing too many things together. I was surprised he said it like that because we had been doing chores such as getting groceries, making the bed, buying things, cleaning the house after he left the window open and water got in. But we also went out to eat or watched his shows. I said, okay, as long as he promised we would finish at night. He went to play some games with his video game team, and I guess they weren't doing too well because he came in and told me he wanted more time to review the games with them. He finally finished at midnight. The contractors came at 9 a.m. the next day, and I immediately got up to work. I thought we could finish in a couple of hours if we worked together. He carried a couple of things. I started saying we should move some things to make space for the shelves, and he stopped me. He told me we should talk about this. I felt the old 1-2 in my gut because I already could tell he was going to bail out on me. I asked him to just help me as he said he would because I was tired and stressed about the time already. He started telling me we actually didn't need to do all that my plan was stupid, and then I was hurting myself, all while sitting on the couch while I was moving things around. I told him if he wanted to talk, we could talk while working. But he insisted I leave everything and go talk with him in the bedroom. We ended up arguing, and I told him if he didn't stay and help, I wouldn't believe in him again. He just walked away and told me to come talk to him when I wanted to get things done. Now! She wants to get things done now! The rest of the night went horribly. It took me over 4 hours to get to a decent place. I'm 4'11" and not very strong. He's 5'8" plus. And I did do a bunch of petty and toxic things like taking away the router and telling him to stop playing his guitar loudly. I know it's not good, but it was eye-opening to see him actually have some urgency for once, searching for the router throughout the house. By around 5 or 6 a.m. and after I had cried my eyes out, he came to help me, but only if we talked. He said I was hurting myself just to prove a point, and that's why he walked away. He said I was romanticizing hard work and that I had a problem. I kept trying to tell him I was just trying to stick to my plan, but he said I should just do the bare minimum to get things ready for the painters. He told me I should not care if a couple of my things got damaged, and that I was putting things over him. Nothing really came out of the talking, but he did help move the last couple of things. We finished at like 7 a.m., and I was completely exhausted. I just crashed. The painters came at 9, and although I had asked him to be with me overseeing the process, he just stayed in bed. I am disappointed and heartbroken. Something switched in me, and I can no longer believe in him or see a future with him. He's had a history of laziness and not keeping his word, but I thought he had gotten better. He always said that if something was really important to me, he would come through, but he didn't, no matter how much I asked him to. Now he's saying it's my fault for not talking, but it just feels controlling and absurd. Why couldn't we talk while working? Why couldn't he bring it up early and not at midnight the last day? Why couldn't he just help me?
Join his video game team.
Yeah, and
do
ask him
call
there.
outs. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it's like, hey, team, we really need to clean the house today.
honey, attic. They're going down attic. We need help in the attic.
You know,
Oh no, they're in kitchen. Kitchen needs help. Kitchen needs support.
You know, you can get like the extra points if you do certain like tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I see in the corner you gotta clean the house. I don't know how to go from here, and he won't even listen to me when I try to tell him how I feel. It feels impossible to talk to him. The next day, I tried to explain why I think this is a major issue for me because I feel like I cannot rely on him. Even after I outlined my plan for days and kept asking if he was okay with it, he kept saying, well, you were just telling me what to do. Do you want a slave? I tried to explain it's about the timing and lack of consideration. But he kept repeating the same question until I was exhausted and said, okay, if that's how you want to see it, I want a slave. And maybe that means we're not compatible. And he hit me with, so you think the slaves should never have been freed?
Oh my god.
I'm a person of color and he's white.
Oh my god.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Wow.
Bye.
He's playing that card.
That's crazy. That he's like, wow.
Wow, you really are.
And you think people should still be slaves?
Babe, I think we're gonna have to break up because that's crazy.
That's racist of you, babe.
Wow.
Like, what am I even supposed to say? He will not accept that I feel a certain way, and when I try to talk on his terms, because he won't try to do it on mine, he just takes it completely out of context. It's exhausting, and all I want to do is avoid it. I'm so angry at him and myself for ever having trusted him, and now I feel trapped. I love this house, but I cannot buy him out. When I told him I didn't want to sleep in the same room with him and we should just try to separate our spaces in the house, he just kind of laughed and said I was being irrational. He told me that couples should always try to talk and that he's willing to give me another chance, so I should too. I don't know how to handle it. Any advice, please? And my advice is to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
Holy crap. This is a lot. You are dealing with a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
This is
It's not worth it.
it's not worth it. I need the context because again, he's lied in the past or he's been lazy in the past.
Yeah.
We get it. But I need to know the context of this is your first time actually living with this guy.
Yeah.
Because it
That's what I'm wondering.
surely shows, because holy cow.
Yeah.
I
I don't think this
I think-
relationship can last.
think it's, you got to get out. Get
Mhm.
out now before you waste any more time, effort, stress, energy that you've been
Yeah.
helping with.
Trying to convince him to help you when he should just like help you.
You're not his mother. The fact that you're like,
No.
oh, I took away the router and that gave him urgency
Yeah.
to look for the router
Yeah.
is insane.
Note 1, we're not in America. The house is fully paid. Note 2, due to other circumstances, the floor was completely filled with things and inaccessible, so we did have to move the things to make hallways. Note 3, I don't think it was relevant, but the reason there's so much stuff to be moved is because of my late father's life belongings, which were left on the bottom floor. It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of situation, and it's partially why I've been so stressed. Comment 1 says, I don't know how this never came up before you bought the house, but you may as well put it back on the market right now. This guy is going to do this every time you need him. Every time you have a hard deadline, he's going to delay and procrastinate so you miss it. Every time you say something is important to you, he's going to F it up by telling you to relax or give him space or stop pressuring you or talk it out. OP says there was always a reason why we had misunderstandings or didn't get in the same page. And he's very good at saying optimistic things and that we could get through with it as long as we stuck together. I lost sight of things and became foolish. This time I try to do everything we agreed on, and I guess I can't keep lying to myself again. Comment 2 says, Jesus, the drama some people involve themselves in. Since you have the house, the responsible thing would be to speak with a lawyer. You have 3 options. Sell it and split the equity, if there is any. One of you move out and have a written contract about said equity moving forward and how that affects paying the mortgage payment upgrades. Third is you buy him out and refinance the home in your name. That's why it's important to choose good partners. Because I can promise you that this isn't the first time he's been a lazy guy and you've done everything in the relationship. Comment 3 says, are both of your names on the loan for the house? How much did you put down for your portion of closing the house? Find a lawyer to see what your choices are. Does he have any money to buy you out? Also plan on what your conversation is going to look like. Write it down. Stick to facts. I asked if you could do it. You said yes. I asked you multiple times. You gave me excuses as to when you would do it, but still said that you would do it. Let him know that this experience changed how you see him. The delay tactics, the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting and dishonesty. If something is really important to you, I'll come through. All of that can't be said unheard. Before you have the talk, make sure to have an exit plan and stick to it. OP says, to clarify, we're not in America and the house is fully paid. He has a personal loan that he's still paying, but it is not tied to the ownership of the house. He does not have money to buy me out, and I currently don't because I'm in the middle of a legal process where some money of mine was withheld. It might not get resolved in the next couple of years, but after that, maybe I could. And that is the end of that story, but yeah, I think you guys have a talk, and maybe this is a shared asset or for now,
Yeah.
and you rent it out or something.
Which is really
Sucks.
crappy, especially
Yeah.
since you're putting in so much time and effort into it, and you're looking so forward to just having your own home with a really good partner. Too bad you don't have a really good partner.
Didn't get that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things. Again, it's one of those major like events when you have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not for like everyone. Maybe other people have done it. They're like, I moved in with my partner like immediately, and it was great. Yes,
It
congratulations.
can turn out great.
It cannot turn out. It can
but
turn
moving
out
in
great.
with anyone is always a risk.
It's a very huge risk.
Mhm.
Yeah. Again, it's just hard, yeah, because it shows people's true colors. So, and it shows his true colors, and that sucks. But best of luck, OP. Yeah, this guy sucks.
Agreed. But
Teenage boy.
that is the end of that story.
My father's new wife cut us out of his life and lied about our existence.
Well, I never want to see her again.
And we do have a trigger warning for mentions of abuse. My dad married a woman 28 days before he passed away of cancer.
Oh.
He refused to update his will after my mother passed away, and my sister and I basically got disinherited. We went to court and had a legal agreement to split the assets from selling his business, but she didn't follow through. By the way, this comes from Zealous Ideal Fix 6597, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Sophia.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, after everything we went through, I reported the woman to the state for being in a different tax bracket, which had previously allowed her kids to go to college for free. Petty, yes, and honestly an a-hole move, but I don't care. This all started with my mother's passing 11 years ago, followed by my father's passing 5 years later. Every year I'm drawn back to the heck that followed my father's passing. At my therapist's suggestion, I'm writing it out. I told this story recently and someone said I ended up ruining other people's lives and should have let it all go. As a woman from a family of grudge holders, I disagree, but we shall see what you all think. Here are the main characters. Myself, 32 female. One older sibling, we'll call her B. Our dad, Joe, our mom, Cindy, and the usurper, we'll call her Karen. My parents owned and operated their own business since their 20s. As children, through our college years, B and I were expected to help out whenever we could. The business was in a different state in a tiny community with maybe 1,000 people. Our parents commuted over an hour each way daily. In the beginning, they worked 7 days a week and were barely getting by, but we were generally happy. Fast forward to when I was in high school and B was in college. The business had grown and become quite successful. My mom worked multiple side jobs during the early years to help bring in more money and started an investment account of her own, which she always said she was unbelievably proud of. This comes up again later. The business was doing so well that my parents decided to hire an employee. Enter Karen. Karen was about 5 or 6 years younger than my parents and worked with them for about 4 years before being let go. Our mom always said that she made lots of mistakes and doubled her work, but our dad thought she contributed enough. Karen and our mom kept in touch since the town was so small, and in a pinch, Karen would help out at their office. When I was 20, I moved across the country for postgraduate studies, and B had just gotten married. Within 4 months of my move, we were told our mother had stage 4 cancer. Within 5 months, our mother passed. This was naturally devastating for all of us. My sister and I tried to communicate more. We never really got along before. I stopped traveling home as much, and both of us focused on our careers, and in B's case, her growing family. Growing up, it was ingrained in us that the only type of work is hard work, and that we should put all our efforts into our work lives to be successful. This is not healthy, we know, but it comes into play later. Our father became obsessed with not letting either of us back into our childhood home. If we were allowed back, we were never allowed to go through our mom's belongings or take anything with us. After 2 years, we finally convinced our dad to let us go through our mom's things, and with his approval, decide how her jewelry and knickknacks would be divided between the 3 of us. This was something our mother had told us to do prior to her passing. We mostly sorted things for charity donations and helped our dad make a list of her items and how he wanted them stored. I want to stress that we weren't trying to take everything our mom owned and leave dad alone with nothing. We mostly wanted sentimental items that dad never used or looked at, but that meant a lot to us. We couldn't even take our own things that our parents had stored in their basement. As time went on, our dad continued to gatekeep our childhood home and didn't want us to visit him there. We always had to meet elsewhere. Sometime after our mother's passing, our dad started dating Karen.
No.
He only told us 3 years later when I called and he was on a date. B and I were supportive. We knew our mom wouldn't want him to be alone forever. At the time, we didn't even mind Karen. We invited Karen and her children to family get-togethers and on our group chats. My sister's child, who never got to meet our mother, even called her Grandma Karen. About 4 years after our mom passed, our dad got the news that he too had stage 4 cancer.
Dang, no.
We were all in shock and left scrambling for answers. Unlike our mom, our dad's fight with cancer lasted roughly a year and a half before he too passed. This is where it all goes wrong. After our mother's passing, we had reminded our dad to update their will. When she passed, all of her investment accounts and life insurance policies went to him as they should have. On her passing bed, our mother told us, with him present, that she wanted her investment account divided between me and myself after she passed away. Once they transferred to our dad, he decided to keep them in his name and said he would split them later. Not a big deal. We never wanted their money and would much rather have had our mother back. He never updated the will our parents originally made 10 years before our mom's passing. When things were getting really bad with my father, I took an extended leave from work and drove across the country to spend time with him and my sister. During this visit, my dad decided he wanted to marry Karen and said my sister and I had to help her pick out a dress and go to the courthouse with them the next day to be witnesses.
Oh my God.
We were frankly shocked, as both had repeatedly told us they would never remarry. After the incredibly uncomfortable experience of helping Karen pick out a wedding dress, we sat down for a meal and B brought up whether they both planned to update their wills since they each had children from prior marriages. This was something we had talked about and thought was a fair question, as at this point, the doctor had given our father less than 2 months to live. Our dad exploded in the restaurant, screaming at us that we had no respect for him and that we abandoned him after our mother passed away. So what was happening now was our fault. B burst into tears while trying to explain that it was just a shocking announcement and we were trying not to make the same mistake that happened when our mom passed. I ended up physically separating them and drove B and myself to a bar where we basically got wasted at 1 p.m. while trying to come to terms with what was happening. We went to the wedding the next day and things were strained to say the least. My father only spoke with me and Karen wouldn't even acknowledge our presence. But it was important for me to support my dad, so I wanted to be there. And B wanted to be there in case I needed support. A few days after that, my leave was up and I drove back home. 3 weeks later, my dad had rapidly deteriorated and was on enough pain medication that he was unable to type and barely able to hold a sensible conversation. My sister would go sit with him at Karen's house when she could, but since they were in a different state and my sister now had 2 infant children, it wasn't always possible. Prior to getting in this state, our dad told us he didn't want us around him at the end of his life, as he didn't want anyone to see or remember him like that. We generally ignored this, even as it resulted in verbal abuse from him. Since I was freshly out of school, it wasn't financially possible for me to take any more time off and still have a job. So I went when I could and called every day. One day, that 3rd week, I called my sister because my dad had been sending me messages that didn't make sense. We tried to get in touch with the hospice nurse to check on him, but were told we weren't allowed to make that request or ask about his well-being since we weren't his wife. I panicked because I had called Karen multiple times and she never answered, sending me to voicemail. B drove the 2 hours down to check on him and found that Karen, who was in charge of his medication since she didn't want hospice to do that, ended up tripling his dose of pain medication.
Everything about this story just keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, literally the only thing that I can think about of how I can help is to tell you and your sister to go get checked, because if both your parents had stage 4 cancer, you want to catch that early.
After speaking with Karen and the hospice nurse, my sister got them to agree that only the hospice nurse would dispense his medication from then on. I never had another lucid conversation with him after that. And exactly 28 days after they were married, our father passed at around 12:30 a.m. Karen's family, who were in town for her son's graduation, called me to let me know and then berated me for not wanting to speak with Karen on the phone. I apologized but stated I just wanted to call my sister, and I did. I woke up 8 hours later to a message from Karen that my dad's funeral was being held in 2 days at 8 a.m. I was flabbergasted. How is that enough time to plan a funeral, allow for a viewing, and for our family to travel?
It's not. She doesn't want you there.
Well, Karen informed me that since her family was already in town, it didn't matter about anyone else.
It's like, oh, wait, you guys can't make it? Oh, no.
Darn.
Well, I guess we'll have to do it without you.
Without his own daughters.
Yeah.
The funeral had to be held before they left. I was left scrambling to get a last-minute flight home since it took over 24 hours to drive back. I arrived home the next day and drove straight to the funeral home to meet my sister and Karen's family. The entire meeting was a disaster. This was the same place we were 5 years ago planning our mom's funeral. And the funeral director remembered my sister and me by name. Karen had brought along my dad's estranged sister, whom he had not had a relationship with our entire lives. Karen and her family wanted a Catholic priest to preside over the funeral. Our dad was atheist. Wanted no family viewing of our dad, only she and her family, not my sister and I.
This woman is awful.
And the list goes on. It got so bad that I stormed out of the room twice. The real treat was when Karen's mother pulled my sister and me aside and lectured us on how tomorrow we were expected to behave and not embarrass Karen. Excuse me? Needless to say, I didn't handle that well, telling her to F off and that I would make a scene if I chose to. A little context. I'm an introvert with social anxiety. I have a hard time communicating when stressed and don't like being touched. However, I'm stupidly loyal to my family. So when Karen's mother grabbed me and B by the arm and yanked us around, I lost my crap. This woman also berated B for deciding not to let her son come to the funeral. At this point, I'd had enough and yelled at both Karen and her mother, pointing out that this was the second time B and I were planning a parent's funeral and that they expressingly ignored all of my dad's final wishes. I grabbed B and left with the threat that if I wasn't allowed to see my dad the next day, I would make a scene unlike anything they had ever witnessed.
It's like in Anastasia when Rasputin comes in. Or I guess you could also say Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. And they're like, I will curse you forever.
The next morning, suddenly my family, including one of our mother's brothers who drove all night, were allowed to see my dad. Karen had included a rosary. My dad was atheist. The funeral director was on our side and allowed us to add anything we wanted to the casket and seated our side first. The service was vomit-worthy. One of Karen's nephews gave a speech about how Joe was the father he never had and the son Joe always wanted. At least 3 people fell asleep and snored. The graveside service wasn't a huge deal until we got another lecture about proper funeral emotions.
Stop lecturing these people about their parents passing.
When we buried our mom, our dad told us crying was not allowed. So nobody should be shocked that neither B nor I cried during his funeral either. This inspired rage from Karen and my dad's mom, who crawled out of her hole after 28 years of being AWOL. We heard over and over about what witches we were. B and I just ignored them. However, on my way out, I overheard Karen and my dad's mom talking about going to my parents' home and taking what they wanted and deserve. We barely had a passing certificate. So I walked over to Karen and asked if she had a key to her family home so that B and I could grab some personal items. Karen agreed suspiciously easy and gave me a key.
Take it all. Take it all.
And one of you goes to U-Haul.
Yeah,
And one of you goes to the house.
And then you lock the house down. You don't let anyone in.
U-Haul girl also goes and gets locks from Lowe's. B and I drove to our family home and the key didn't work. I jimmied the door open and immediately noticed that the sofa and chairs my mom had bought before she passed away were missing, as were the end tables and the TV. The safe with all our dad's important documents had also been messed with. 2 neighbors came over and said an unknown truck came 2 mornings ago and left with furniture. That's right, less than 8 hours after his passing, Karen had driven to our family home and taken my mom's furniture. She had asked my dad repeatedly for that furniture, and he always refused, saying it would only ever stay in my mom's house. At that point, B and I called in the cavalry, and we packed and moved a 3,200 square foot house in roughly 4 hours.
Initiative, drive, power. Look at you guys go.
I can feel the rage that fueled that group.
Oh yeah, they were like, we gotta move, people. Out, go, go, go.
The absolute efficiency that came from that.
Yeah, they were like, okay, you take this upstairs, I'll take the downstairs, you got the kitchen, and let's move out, people.
2 days later, I found our parents' will in their bank safety deposit box and contacted Karen. Karen lost her crap and produced documents that had been signed by our dad within 72 hours of his passing and were very obviously not his signature. He supposedly signed over all his vehicles, businesses, and house to Karen, along with his life insurance and our mother's investment accounts.
So that's like a crime, Karen.
That's like such a crime.
It's a crime.
Our legal battle began. 2 of the 3 life insurance policies denied her as the recipient since it was changed so close to his passing, and the beneficiaries reverted back to B and me. After we went to court, the judge decided that even though state law stated if you were married less than a year before your passing, your assets revert back to your children, that rule didn't apply due to the documents that were signed. Eventually, it was decided that Karen would be in charge of selling our parents' business with our approval, and that the money would be split 50-50 between Karen and B and me, while B and I could keep our parents' house and everything in it. Sadly, Karen would keep our mother's investment accounts as she was the legal spouse. After we agreed, the judge asked if there was anything else we wanted to bring up, and I stated that I wanted my mom's furniture back and that I would refuse the settlement if it didn't happen. Since we had proof it was taken from our family home after Dad's passing, the glare on Karen's face was worth 1,000 suns. The day came to pick up what we were getting from the business, and guess what was sitting right in front of the office? My mother's furniture.
Where'd that come from? Oh, Karen's
That's
like, I don't know.
crazy.
I didn't take it. I
Just
don't know how
showed
that
up
got there.
This morning I walked in and look,
I guess the
someone
Tooth
reverse
Fairy-
robbed me. They gave me stuff.
Yeah, Tooth Fairy Easter Bunny Santa came, dropped it off.
Oh, and that furniture, we turned around and sold it to a competing law firm in Karen's hometown for them to use it in their lobby. It was the ugliest sofa and chair set any of us had seen, but my mom loved it, so I was determined to get it back. We advertised it as caution. Heartless witches may have sat on this. And the law firm said that was exactly the type of couch they needed. I get great joy knowing Karen drove by that place every day and had to see that couch through the giant glass window. Karen ended up selling both businesses without telling us and pocketing the proceeds herself. She told the buyers that her and my dad started the business and that my dad had no children. She also tried to cancel various insurances we had together and told them that all 3 of us had passed away. After being disowned, declared passed away, and told we never existed, B and I decided this was too emotionally draining to continue fighting and let it go that she went against a court order. We wanted to be done with her. However, this entire situation made my skin itch. I had spoken multiple times with both my parents about what they wanted to happen with their estate, and this was nothing like what either had said. And this is where I decided to get a little payback. In Karen's state, if you have an income under a certain threshold and have a certain number or more children, your children can go to state college basically for free. Karen had 3 kids who would all be starting college in the fall. Due to receiving our parents' business and their bank accounts, Karen moved up a lot of tax brackets. By the time our dad passed, their business was making almost $600K a year, compared to the less than $35K Karen told us she made. So in a moment of pure spitefulness, I called the state board and asked how they ensure the children on state funds actually qualified. After I confirmed the process, I suggested they take another look at Karen's monthly and yearly income, as she likely would be committing fraud if she was part of that program. Needless to say, all her children were kicked out of the assistance program, but could still enroll in the university. They just had to pay tuition like everyone else. And just like everyone else, you too can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime. We've got just a tiny little bit left.
Just a little bit left, but thank goodness, she's more or less out of your life, and it seems like you're getting back at her.
I didn't tell my family about this for years until it casually came up in conversation that Karen was married a 3rd time and getting
Dang.
ready to go through another divorce. I just laughed a little to myself, reminiscing about screwing her over like she did us, and told my family when they asked. Some of them thought it was hilarious, while others told me it was cruel since her children were innocent. Honestly, I didn't, and still don't care. And with that, my ridiculously long tale ends. So am I the a-hole for petty revenge against Karen? That's the end of that story.
I knew. You're not.
Not at all.
She got what she deserved.
She did.
You did what you had to do.
But that's the end of that story.
And we've got another one coming right up. My girlfriend gave my song a bad rating because she didn't know it was mine.
Well, at least she was honest.
So let me start off by saying that I know this was slightly manipulative. I deceived her by omission, and it speaks volumes about my communication skills. I understand that, and I actually feel really guilty about it. By the way, this comes from Girlfriend Music Throw, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, here's what happened. My girlfriend is very critical about music. I make music on my own, but I never felt like she ever gave me real criticism, despite me pleading with her to give me something blunt and real. Ooh, but careful what you ask for.
Be careful what you wish for, my guy.
She always said it was great and never had anything else to say. But when she would critique other music, she would get extremely detailed, critiquing down to the very last detail. I really admire her thoughts on music, and all I wanted was for her to do that for mine as well. But she would always just say it was great, without much else. And I never believed her due to the stark differences in how she framed these opinions.
Yeah, she's not very good at like even lying about it.
Yeah, she's
It's
like,
like,
it's great.
just tell me you
It's
hate
so
it, babe.
good. No,
I love your notes.
I love it.
You're good. I want to learn so I can
love
make
you.
better music.
I love you, and therefore I love when you do stuff that you're happy doing. So one day I had her listen to some music without telling her it was mine. I just said, "Hey, check out this track." She went in. She said it was the work of someone who had no idea what they were doing. The composition was all over the place, and it didn't flow together. Sections were much too long. There was a rise without a climax, and she said it was just a boring song all around.
Dude, you could have just said it was a bad song.
Yeah, I feel terrible, but at the same time, I also feel a bit vindicated. Also, I feel like she's overreacting. I don't really know where to go from here because I don't want to lie to her about how I feel about what I did. Feels sort of bad, then again, not really. Did I do the right thing? And there are some relevant comments, but what are your relevant comments?
I mean, okay, approaching this from just like a like an artist / musical angle, it's like,
Yes.
you know, you need to be making your art like for you / by you, and it's like you can have other people's like opinions and thoughts about it, inform it, but it's like there's no one out there who's like the arbiter of truth when it comes to like what is good and what is bad, fully. Sure, there's people who are like good, like have like good ears and stuff or whatever. I don't know how well versed your girlfriend is or whatever, but it's like it shouldn't even really matter if your girlfriend doesn't like your music. Do you like your music?
Well, I think the conversation needs to be, you need to go to her and say, "Hey, I'm sorry for lying to you, but I really value your opinion, and I really wanted to know what you thought about my songs, and it felt like you weren't really giving me an honest, you know."
Say, sorry I lied to you, but
Yeah.
I could tell you've been lying to me this whole time.
Yeah, and it's like, and just say, like, hopefully, you aren't going to take her criticism, too harshly because it's what you said you wanted. So
Yeah.
if you double back and mirror, like, why would you say that? That would be messed up.
I don't think he's doing that
No,
either.
no,
I
I
think it's
don't.
just more like a, did
Yeah.
I...
But
Yeah.
I think that, if hopefully that's not the case and you accept this, criticism constructively, and then you can have a whole conversation about saying like, "Hey, I can accept constructive criticism. I'm working on this. Please just be honest with me going forward and I'll do the same." Relevant comments. ETWA says, regardless of the specifics, she very clearly told you, "I don't want to do this thing." And you tricked her into doing the thing she clearly told you she didn't want to do. If you want to get it all mixed up in feelings around music criticism, that's your business, but the plain facts are as above. And people are allowed to feel that it's not cool to A, not have their own decisions about what they don't want to do be respected, and B, tricked by someone they trusted. If the vindication about her opinion is worth doing A and B to her, then I guess it was worth it, and you'll need to live with the fallout from it.
I don't agree with that because
Not
she's
fully.
literally doing the exact same
Yeah.
thing that the comment is saying
Yeah.
by being like, you're tricking. She's tricking him by not being honest about her thoughts.
And OP says, she didn't tell me she didn't want to critique my music. While I agree with most people here that I did something manipulative, and I feel horrible about it, I think it highlights a bigger issue of communication in this relationship. I value blunt honesty, and she knows this about me, yet continue to placate me and tell me it's great with no real comment. I felt that was condescending. I totally regret not grilling her on this kind of thing, but I didn't think it was fair for me to force her to tell me something she obviously didn't want to tell me. But I also don't think it's fair that she kept lying to me, telling me that my music is great when I have to manipulate her into admitting she was lying the whole time. This was a breakdown in communication in a huge way. And while neither of us are saints, I don't believe I was the only bad guy in this situation. Devil's Lettuce Pot says, 1, I hope you don't feel bad. She's your girlfriend, not someone who's expected to love everything you create. You do appreciate her criticism, and she gave it to you. You should be glad if you respect her opinion. Apologize for manipulating her and thank her for her honest feedback. Let her know that her opinion of your song does not hurt your feelings. And then in the future, you don't have to play games like that to get her opinion. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, her opinion could just be really valuable if she
Yes.
does have like a super solid, you know.
Music background.
Yeah, and it's like,
absolutely.
okay, so maybe that was a bit of a mess, and maybe that was unsatisfying, and if I didn't do that on purpose, I should change it, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. OP says, I really do appreciate the actual opinion she gave me, but I lost respect for her as a person just because I frankly feel infantilized by her desire to lie to me in order to protect my feelings when I was bluntly trying to tell her that I really want her real blunt opinions on my music. Snow Lover says, good people don't enjoy insulting or hurting their partners. It's not fun. It's painful. If your SO is anything like me, then critiquing the creative work of someone you love as bad is the same as insulting that person. It's taking something she knows you worked hard on and telling you your effort was worthless. That is not an enjoyable experience.
That's not what critique or criticism is about. What? It's
No.
not that it was worthless. It's that it can be improved upon in
I
certain
don't know.
places.
My mom's always been very blunt about, like, my parents have always been very blunt
And look how
about my
talented
creative.
both of you have become.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I think they've been very honest about like the stuff that we do. Like they tell me when my work is not good and they tell me when it is good. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciate it because then I'm like, oh, this work is actually good. And I think that's kind of how I approach critique. I mean, I'd try to be a little less blunt than they are. But I don't know, I wouldn't want to lie to someone who's asking me for actual critique. There are ways to go about, you know, giving compliments and also giving criticism in an effective way. It's painful and it's extremely unkind of you to put her in the position. She wants to keep your relationship positive. You've ruined that, and it will be hard for her to forgive you for that. There's an update. I think there's a little bit of an everyone sucks situation going on here. Like, OP shouldn't have manipulated the situation.
Like tricked her like that.
Yeah. Update 3 days later. I didn't get a whole lot of well-wishing words on my last post. Most people felt that I was manipulative, took away her agency by deceiving her, and that I deserve to have my relationship fall apart. Wow. Well, you guys were right. You win.
No freaking way.
Nah.
She hasn't officially broken up with me, but I could tell the relationship was in its final stages.
Oh.
Dang. Well, I mean, you know, if this was what could break you apart, then.
Wasn't very
that
sturdy.
strong.
Yeah. Was not sturdy.
Well, also, if she thought that her criticism of your work could break your relationship up, then it also wasn't that strong.
Yeah.
Long story short, the day after I wrote my post, a few hours after responding to most of the comments, I called her, told her to stay at her mom's place, that we were fundamentally incompatible, and this obviously wasn't going to work. I want to provide some background to clarify what I believe were misunderstandings in the responses to my previous post. I had been asking her for a long time to provide honest critique of my music, and I approached her before about why her answers were so vague and placating when it came to my work. I told her I could obviously see the contrast between that and how she critiques all other music. She outright denied that she was just placating me, saying there was nothing to worry about. All my music was great, and I was being crazy about it. The last time we talked about this, I was not subtle in my communication. I directly told her I would value her critiques, whether positive or negative. I just really wanted her opinion, particularly considering she'd been a primary inspiration to some of my best work. I had made it clear that I didn't want to be placated because music is so important to me, and the same goes for her. I'm not in it to get people to suck me off and tell me how great I am. I want to be the best possible musician I can be, and I feel incredibly disrespected by being placated, like I'm some child who can't take criticism. I've never given anyone, let alone her, reason to believe I would need placation. Beyond this, she still denied it all, but I could tell it was pretty much BS, and it was driving me crazy. So months later, I'd gotten nowhere with communication with her, and I still had this nagging suspicion to the point where I wasn't even asking her opinion anymore because it just made me mad. A few days ago, it just popped into my mind like it was no big deal to play her one of my pretty meh, in my opinion, but still had decent responses from the general public songs. Basically just a throwaway instrumental I did when I was bored. And I didn't tell her it was me.
Oh my gosh.
We finished listening and I asked what she thought of that tune. She goes off on it, basically hating it. See my previous post. I said, okay, thanks so much. I'm so glad I could finally get it out of you. I agree with a lot of what you said. She goes, wait, that's your song? I said, yeah, it's an old one. She gets mad and says, what the FOP? We get into an argument about it. She thinks I went out of my way to manipulate her like I was sociopathic and premeditated.
But that's
That
like,
wasn't even that bad.
dude, it's
That
like,
wasn't even, I thought, it would have been worse if OP was like, oh, now I finally figured out what you feel. You hate my music. He was like, oh, yeah, I agree with that. It was mine.
that's sociopathic. It's like the easiest thing ever. It's like, it's not like you concocted a wild lie about like your whole life and like your job and your school and like sociopathic would be like pretending you're in a band and that you're not actually in one because you think that she's into musicians. That's sociopathic.
That would be crazy. I'm telling her, it's not even that big of a deal. Why were you lying to me in the first place? And she said, because I don't like your music. Are you happy? We continued to fight. It escalated to the point where we started swearing. So she said, you know what? I don't need this. And walked out. She's been there ever since. Fast forward to the breakup conversation. She said she felt guilty about not liking my music for 2 reasons. One, because she thought I was effed up, that she simply didn't like her SO's art, and she was ashamed of that. The other reason was that a lot of the time she feels like she doesn't know what she's talking about, and didn't want to rip my music apart like she does with most songs because she could totally be wrong. And then she'd be an a-hole. I was really upset by this. I feel like I called her out on her lying months ago, and she kept lying to me instead of just saying that. I tried so hard to tell her months ago that it's okay if she doesn't like it, but she just clammed up, thinking I was going to fly off the handle and end our relationship over it. And look where we are now. After months of telling her I didn't want to be placated, she kept trying to placate me and wouldn't communicate the real reason. How am I supposed to expect her to be an adult and communicate what she really feels instead of lying to avert imagined conflict when we have a relationship issue in the future? By the way, I have no issues with you guys listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story. Music is such a huge and important piece of our lives together, and this situation probably wouldn't have gotten to where it is if it weren't. It may seem silly to those on the outside that what appears to be just a stupid, petty argument led to the complete breakdown of a relationship. And now I'm just left confused and lonely. She was also my best friend in the entire world, and there's a void inside of me and a voice telling me I'm making a huge mistake. And I'm confused and pulled into multiple directions. Thanks for taking time to read this. And honestly, the relevant comment is just saying what people already said. And OP responds, last comment, OP's girlfriend didn't have any domain expertise. Yes, she does. She's a professional in our local music community. So we know that she does have experience with this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think if you guys couldn't get through this really minor tiff, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And if she's not willing to be honest with you, not
There's
worth
nothing
it.
there. My son came out. My wife didn't take it positively.
Wife, what are we doing?
Basically, here's how things happened. Wednesday, when I came home from work, my son said he had something to tell me. He obviously fidgeted about something, and after a bit of rambling, he eventually told me he was attracted to the same gender. To be honest, I already knew. He's a good kid and pretty dang smart, but I'm a programmer and therefore the computer guy. I'm the one that everyone calls to fix their computers and laptops. So without drawing a picture, I already knew he was attracted to the same gender. By the way, this comes from a fake throwaway account. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So when he finally came out to me, I was actually kind of relieved. He and I have always had a good relationship, but he never told me. And I was kind of wondering if maybe we didn't have such a good relationship. In any case, I did the dad thing of telling him that I really loved him. And all I really wanted from him was for him to be safe and happy. He was just really relieved, I guess. Anyway, he asked me to be there when he told his mother. Now I think about this, it's probably why he came to me first. Now, she's a deeply religious woman. She wasn't always, but somewhere along the line, she turned from being somewhat religious to being deeply, deeply devoted. And if I'm being honest, I couldn't really pin down when or how that happened. I'm not religious in the slightest, although I do the occasional church going and church related functions to make her happy. Anyway, when she got home, I waited for my son to take the lead on when to tell her. It's when he told her that all things went to heck. I don't think she really believed it at first. Probably thought it was some kind of joke or something. But when she realized it wasn't, first started crying and then went into what I can only call a rage. He tried to calm her down, and I tried to help get her not to see this as the end of the world. But she kept going on about how this wasn't the plan for him and about grandkids and a bunch of other things. But she kept working herself into some kind of frenzy. Eventually, he went to his room and started dumping his clothes and telling him to get out of the house. My son is bawling at this point, and I completely flipped out. I ordered him to go to his bedroom and stay there and just unleashed on her. I pretty much say what kind of mother she is and that I'll be 3 weeks dead and buried before I let him leave. She gets angry at me for not backing her up on this and that being attracted to the same gender is wrong and a bunch of other BS. Anyway, after a heck of a heated fight, she leaves to go stay with her parents. I try talking to my son. He's devastated and blaming himself for everything, and I'm not sure what to do here. I let my son skip school the last couple of days as kind of a mental health day, although I let him know that he will go back on Monday. I haven't spoken to my wife since that night, and now I'm not even sure what I could or say to her, and I'm not sure how to handle my son either. He's not his usual self, and I don't know how to get him to stop blaming himself. He says he wants to spend the night at a friend's house, which is fine. I figure his friend can offer some kinds of support than I can, but I'm at a complete loss. I think I did my best, although writing this I realized that since I knew he was attracted to the same gender for a while, I should try to slowly ease her into the idea to make it less explosive, or maybe if I stayed calm earlier, I could have handled it a little less emotionally. I just don't know where to go from here or how to handle any of this. Well, in the heat of the moment,
That's
man.
what I'm saying, emotions. But
Yeah.
like, if you knew, you could have been like subtle hints there to like, or like you could have talked to your son first rather than him coming out to both of you or something along those. I don't know. I feel like you got to, before you dive straight into something like this, even though you may know somebody, you got to like dip your toes. Like, how is it hot? Is it cold?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like you can't just like feet first because you never know what's gonna happen. Which in this turnout,
Yeah.
was the worst case possible.
And like another thing I gotta think to my head is like, okay, what if, this was if the son was a daughter and the daughter was pregnant, but the father was absent? How would she handle this? What would happen if like, all these different scenarios, would she still
Yeah.
act the same way? And then my second biggest thing, low key, you can't figure out a solution to this soon, call it a wraps, and make sure with all your might that the kid does not take any blame for this.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's not on the kid, it's on the parents. I'm a big supporter of you got to be on the same page with about everything.
Yeah.
And they made that mistake and now they're putting that on the kid. Now the kid has to like live through that, like burden that. Number one, I'm very surprised. Only one comment so far mentions P Flag. One of the primary reasons this organization exists is to assist and guide and mentor parents attracted to the same gender kids who are just coming out. There are many chapters across the US and Canada. One probably not that far away from where you live. They have one once a month meetings. Usually it's about a group of 25 parents of gay kids. Many of the parents are veterans whose child came out many years ago and have lots of experience and wisdom to share. A handful of newbies, parents whose kids just recently came out. Your wife needs to attend some meetings with you, and she can talk about all of her emotions, fears, dreams, etc. with all the other parents who have been through the same thing. I went with my mom a few times after I came out, and the meetings were wonderful. The group was very welcoming, and it proved to be a very cathartic experience. Your wife needs to talk about these things, and not just with you, because you don't have the experience to guide her. The other parents do. We have an update. Some people have sent me various websites that I should look into, and I'm slowly making my way through. As for my son, we haven't spoke since he left last night. As for my wife, I think I'm going to be waiting on her to make some kind of overture to speak at least through the weekend. Give her some time and space to get herself together. If I don't hear from her by Monday, I guess I'll call her and try to figure out where to go from here. I did post this on a gay subreddit to get some more feedback from other people after someone here recommended that. Second update. I wish I had some kind of big update, but nothing really. I didn't sleep much this week, and I passed out shortly after posting the original message. I did talk to my son after I woke up. He got home sometime earlier today. He seems to be holding up okay, but you guys did put the fear of him doing something rash in my mind. I'm going to talk to him again, see what I can do about finding some kind of family therapist to help. As for my wife, I decided to give her some time and space, at least until Monday. If I haven't heard from her by then, I'll try to contact her, and depending on what she says will determine where we go. I do want to make it clear that I don't think it'll come to divorce or anything like that, but if the worst were to happen or to come, I will choose my son. If it's a choice between him and anything else, he wins. He always wins. Someone asked about our location, which Louisiana is near New Orleans, and her faith which is Southern Baptist. There also seems to be some focus about the timeline regarding when my son went to his friend's house. He went last night, Friday. Everything else happened on Wednesday. He does sleep over at his friend's occasionally, or his friend here. They usually spend way too much time in movies or playing something on the PC or PS4. Also, he is 16, I'm 39, and his mother's 37. Again, I want to thank you all so much for your support. I promise I'm reading all your replies and will take advice to heart. Just thanks for everything. Comments. Comment number 1 says, you are a wonderful father. Just keep being there for your son like you already are. One really specific piece of advice is to text him the supportive stuff you've already been saying to him, maybe a little after he leaves for his friend's house tonight. Feels really good to be able to go back and look at that stuff in writing. I don't know if you feel paralyzed when trying to put your feelings into writings like that, but you could start with, I've been thinking about blah, 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 blah. And then something you haven't said to him yet, like how brave it was for you to come out to your mom knowing that she might react hurtful. Or something like, then just, I want you to know I'm so proud of you. I love you. I'll always be there for you, etc. I know that's a crazy specific suggestion, but he will probably read that text over and over in a way that he can't do with the things you say to him in person. It also might help him to get him into therapy or a support group. But really, you're already doing the most important things, being a really loving, supportive presence in his life, shielding him from his mom's toxicity as best you can, ensuring him it's not his fault. He's really lucky to have you. Hope he replies, you know, I'll be honest, I read this and I wasn't sure if I should or not. I just feel like maybe he went to his friend's place to get his mind off things or something, but between your message and a personal message I received earlier, I decided to send him a text saying something very similar to what you said, telling him that I loved him and that what he did was one of the bravest things I've ever seen, and I couldn't be prouder of him. I'm not sure if it will mean a lot to him or just get an eye roll, but figure better to have it than not to say it. We have a third update. I guess I'll start with my son. You all really put the fear of him hurting himself into my head. So I ended up having what I can only describe as the most miserable conversation of my entire life. I talked to him about how much I love him, how I'll always be there for him, and that he's the most important thing to me in the world. I don't know what I would do if he were gone. We had one more heart-to-heart that same night. I was in the living room trying to find something to watch on Netflix when he approached me. He sat there for a while, then apologized for making me worry and for starting everything that's happened. Dude, you're fine. Shut that down as hard as I could. I told him he had nothing to apologize for. This was none of his fault. He was only doing what I told him to do, be honest with me. And that's exactly what he did. And I'm proud of him. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but I really need to hammer that home. I brought up family counseling. Honestly, I was expecting pushback, that he'd think I was trying to fix him or something. But he seemed okay with it. The rest of the night was really nice. Just watching TV together and talking about nothing. The rest of the week, I tried to keep things as normal as possible. I wanted to give him a sense of normalcy other than spending more time in the living room with me instead of in his bedroom. Things are okay. I guess he's still not himself, but he's more himself than he was last week. I'm not sure if he's staying close because he wants to be sure I'm around to reassure me, or if he just wants access to the bigger TV. A few of you mentioned that I should remind him our house is his house too, so I told him to invite his friends over this weekend, which they are. I dropped them all off at the movies. They're going to watch something, grab food, and then call me to pick them up. I'm just trying to help him get back to normal. As for my wife, things didn't go well. I called her late Monday after my son went to bed. I'll admit that while I love her, I was also very upset with her. I was trying to give her some time and space to process, but I wasn't happy that I had to be the one reaching out first. Still, I tried to put that aside and wanted to know where her headspace was. I had a mental list of things we needed if we were going to get past this. First, family counseling, and I had to choose a counselor. Second, she had to find some way to get past the gay thing. Therapy, prayer, whatever, but it needed to be dealt with. Third, she had to find a way to make it up to him. I felt this was reasonable. Everything else would be up for discussion, but I was going to die on those hills. When we talked Monday, she agreed we needed counseling, but felt we should go to the one sponsored by the church. I told her that was off the table. I wanted a counselor who could be neutral and I could trust when left alone with him. We circled this point till nearly 3 a.m. Tuesday was the same discussion till very late. Wednesday too. Wednesday night, I told her we needed to do this in person and finally get somewhere. Thursday morning, I told my son I'd be coming home very late, left him some money to order pizza, and said that he and his friends could start their weekend shenanigans a day early. After work, I went to her folks' place and we tried again. We got nowhere. I just refused to go to someone I couldn't trust. Sometime later, I don't know exactly when, I just let go. I gave up. I broke. I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't have kept circling that wagon. I know you shouldn't make life-altering decisions when you've only had maybe 8 or 9 hours of sleep spread throughout a week, none in intervals greater than 20 minutes. But I was done. I was really tired. Really wanted to make it work. We'd been together since college, and I still love her, but I can't create a situation where my son could be hurt, especially now. I have to be there for him. Someone has to be. I was about to suggest separation for like a month. They're about to get to that. But at this point, separation for sure. Well, I said, probably best we stay apart. That I bring her the rest of her things over the weekend. And I left. Went to the big grocery store, grabbed some boxes, cried for about a half hour in my car, and went home. I got home at some unruly hour to find a couple of my son's friends asleep on my couch. When I told him to invite his friends, I meant for the day. He thought I meant overnight. I usually don't like having other people's kids in my house on a school night, but whatever. I blame myself for not being clear and to make a mental note to gently remind him later. Couldn't sleep. Literally too tired to sleep. I waited until my kids' usual school time, woke them all up, made breakfast, sent them off to school, emailed my boss to take a sick day, and finally fell asleep for about 10 hours. Which brings me to now, having just driven my kids and his friends by the movies. And if you're driving right now, stop the freaking car, pull off to the side, go to your favorite podcast platform, search up OK Storytime. Have one of your kids search up OK Storytime on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Press play on the next story while you're driving. I'm going to finish the story here. I've decided I'm never going to tell my son about some of the things she said during our talks. I don't want him to feel worse, and I actually want them to have some kind of relationship in the future. No need to poison that well. For now, I'm going to do something to get my mind off things. Maybe play a game, watch TV, browse Reddit until I need to pick them up. I want to thank everyone again for all your messages. I've read and reread every one of them half a dozen times. It was nice to see so many good people. A lot of your stories were really heartbreaking. I'm sorry they had to go through that. I wish you had someone in your corner. Everyone deserves something in their corner. As one internet stranger to another, you all are really strong people. In the comments, I really don't want to be the one since you love her and all, but your wife seems like a total snatch. And to be honest, you're never going to get anywhere with the viper of a woman, which she has appeared to be throughout the story. I honestly recommend divorce. Religion clouds all rationality, and she's going to go further in. I know it sucks, but it really comes down to who you care about more, which obviously in and of itself is an impossible decision to make. So I'm sorry. Congratulations for being so steadfast and brave and supporting your son through this time. You do what many parents wouldn't. Thank you for setting such a wonderful example. And OP says, actually, it's where it's going. I didn't put in the update yet, but yeah, I'm probably going to contact a divorce attorney on Monday. I haven't figured out how to tell my son yet, but that's a tomorrow problem. I just don't want to think about it tonight. Tough, but I think it's going to be better for both you and your wife.
My husband accused me of cheating and claims that our son isn't his.
Well, good news, there's a test for that, Buster.
I, female 34, have been married to my husband, male 36, for almost 17 years, and we've been together for almost 20. We have 2 kids, and our relationship has always been strong. It was rocky when we were younger as we navigated becoming adults while raising a baby, but we never had issues with cheating that I was aware of. Recently, he told me that he wanted more kids, which I already knew, but I was waiting for the right time. By the way, this comes from FunSpring6597, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Sophia. And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're only going to guess what we would do in this situation, but let us know what you would do in the comments down below. OP says, we have been doing great. Spicy sleep is great, and we generally have fun together as a couple. I was recently accepted into medical school. Although it wasn't the school we wanted, it's only a couple of hours away. He has always been supportive on this journey. We talked about how I would have to stop working to take full-time courses, and I was the one with the higher income. Oh boy. We made it work, and he was supportive and encouraging. As a dad, he's amazing. He's loving, attends their school events, and is attentive. But since I was pregnant with my son, who's about to turn 12, I always noticed he was slightly more distant and colder towards him. Still, he generally treats them the same. My son was hospitalized about 2 years ago, and I saw how much he meant to him. He was there all 7 days with him and me, never leaving. We were in a really good place this week. We went to see my new school, hung out, and took my son to an amusement park on Saturday. My daughter had gone out with friends. They had a great time together since I couldn't go on many rides with them. That night, we were watching TV and talking about how, when my daughter was young, we had gone to a concert. Then the conversation shifted to who else I had been with spicily, and I said no one ever. He insisted that I had been with someone else. He started saying how one time when we had our first place, I came home smelling like spicy sleep. He asked me about it, and I said it was nothing, and he was tripping. He said he was like, okay, sure, fine. I don't remember this at all, but I know for a fact that I've never been with anyone before him or while I've been with him. Nothing. I kept denying it. He then asked, did you ever sleep with Dan? He was talking about someone who was one of his friends growing up that I knew. I was shocked and then taken by surprise. He went off and said how Dan had spent a few days at our place, and he thinks, based on some things he saw, that we had spicy sleep.
This is like the biggest like red flag. Like this guy clearly cheated on you with like a bunch of people or something.
Yes.
Because you just don't act this way if
Yeah.
you aren't like actually just like super guilty on the inside.
Right.
And you're just like trying to put it on your partner. You're like, no,
Yeah.
it's actually, but you did it too, right? You
Yeah.
did it.
He said that this was around the same time I became pregnant with my son, and he's always thought that it was Dan's kid. I was shocked. I never would have thought that he suspected I had anything to do with someone else, let alone that friend I didn't even remember existed. My son loves an ocean animal that happens to be the same nickname that Dan went by, so my husband said, yeah, and you also buy him shirts and toys about that animal? And I was like, what? He likes that animal. I didn't even think about this. My husband was calm the whole time. I've seen him mad, and I know how he acts, but he wasn't mad, just serious. He said he wasn't reproaching anything, but wanted to know the truth. I was crying the whole time because I felt like I was in trouble for something I didn't do. I told him I wouldn't accept something I didn't do because I didn't do it. Then I said that I was going to do a paternity test on my son because I don't want him to have the slightest doubt. He said no, but I said I would because I don't want this in his mind. After, I said, I don't know where we go from here. And he said, everything stays the same.
Hey, you're not the one who gets to decide that unilaterally, buddy.
Yeah, but I was confused. What do you mean the same? I asked him if everything we've lived these years was real or if it was just a face that he was putting up. He was surprised I asked and asked me what I felt it was. Honestly, I don't think it's fake. I think what we have is real, but I don't know how he can bring this up and everything can be the same. I asked him if he had ever done anything with anyone else in revenge, and he said no. He's a really bad liar, so I can usually tell when he's not being truthful, but he seemed honest. His work schedule is very typical. He's home every day at the same time. At the end of the night, he hugged, kissed me, and said, regardless of what it was, you are my woman, my wife. And I said, no. It's not regardless, because I didn't do anything. And that night, he still cuddled with me and hugged me like he normally does. Yesterday, I told him we needed to talk and clarify this because I don't want him to resent me for something I didn't do. My fear is that he holds that against me and then does something and says I can't say anything because I already did something. I told him this. I said that I can't live with this doubt about worrying that he's going to cheat. Then he said he's been living with this doubt. I told him I don't want him to hate me and I don't want to throw this away for something that didn't happen. I said if it were true, then I would accept it, apologize, and go from there, but that's not the case. I said I wanted him to believe me, and he said the reasons he had were evidence to him. He also said, but if you said no, then okay. That is all the doubts I had. He then hugged me tight and said that even if I had said I did do something, he wouldn't have left me. The rest of the day, he was more serious, but still trying to talk and still being affectionate. I asked him why. Why, if that's what he thinks happened, didn't he leave me? If he's so sure, how is it possible he didn't cheat on me? I had a messed up upbringing, and he knows that. He knows I need him to hug me, kiss me, look for me, and he knows that I can't feel rejected. That unalives me. I ordered the paternity test. It arrives today, and I'll send it out so he can see. But it makes me feel really sad that he thinks that I betrayed him because I didn't do it. I know how much it would unalive me to feel he would have done something like that. What do I make of all of this? I'm so confused. I don't even have anyone to talk to about this. My husband is very non-confrontational. He rarely gets really upset, and if he does, he just stays quiet. I know he keeps emotions in. He did say he just needed to get this out, so I don't know if it was something he was holding on to and just now decided to let it out because he felt that our relationship was the most stable it's been. The conversation didn't come completely out of nowhere. We were watching TV and reminiscing about a concert we went to when our daughter was younger. My husband then asked if I had ever gone to a concert at the same park with a friend of mine who used to drive a Mustang, who I had already told my husband about way back when we got married. This friend was in love with me, so I stopped talking to him. I said no, and then he suddenly shifted the conversation and asked if I had ever slept with anyone else, eventually asking about Dan specifically.
Again, we're back on this again? We're back on this again? Come on.
For context, when I was about 14, I was dating my husband online. What? We hadn't even met in person. During that time, his friend told me a bunch of lies about him, and I briefly stopped talking to my now husband and dated his friend for like a week just to piss him off. We went to a birthday party and saw him one day. The most that ever happened was a kiss. Then I realized that his friend was lying, stopped talking to him, and eventually got back with my husband. We then met in person, and things went from there. My husband already knew this since it happened. During our conversation the other night, my husband said that he saw how I used to drool over Dan back then, which wasn't true, and that his suspicions started when Dan briefly stayed with us before I was pregnant. He said there were 2 specific things that made him doubt. One time, I came home smelling like spicy sleep, which I don't remember at all. Another time, he stepped out to take the trash, and when he came back, I was running into our room to change from shorts to pants while his friend was in the kitchen adjusting his pants and doing the dishes. Since Dan had just recently gotten out of jail, he was in need of spicy sleep. Lastly, he said he saw me as someone who flirts. He brought up a work Christmas party years ago where we greeted a guy who hugged me when saying hi to me and my friend. Later that night, he saw that guy dancing and spanking my friend. Years later, we found out that this friend actually cheated on her husband, so he was like, what's not to say you also slept with him?
I don't know, because I'm not her. I don't know. Are you confused on who your wife is? Did you think you were married to the woman who cheated on her husband? Because that's not who you were married. You were married to me.
The paternity test kit arrived, but when I handed it to him, my husband declined. He said he doesn't need it, that bringing it up was more about finally voicing something that he had kept in for too long.
He's like, no, I don't want solutions. I just want to complain like a little baby. And make it your fault.
I truly believe this doubt may have stemmed from something Dan said years ago to one of our mutual friends. Dan has a history of dishonesty and manipulation, so it wouldn't surprise me if a careless comment planted a seed that grew over time. Then, with what he thinks he saw, he put it all together in his mind. But that doesn't excuse the pain. This post, like anything online, only shows a fraction of the full story. Real relationships, especially long-term ones, are not all black and white. While this moment has been incredibly difficult, there's also been so much love, growth, and support in our life together, especially for our kids. It's impossible to label someone as good or bad based on one chapter. I've said before that I noticed a difference in my husband's relationship with my son, and I want to clarify. It wasn't neglect or distance, but more of that subtle tension that can happen when a dad feels left out when his son grows very close to their mom. It wasn't harmful, but looking back, I can see how important it is that they continue strengthening their bond. He said he wants to repair this, and so do I. But no, things are not back to normal. They won't be until we've worked through this in counseling and had the hard, honest conversations. Therapy is now a priority for us, not just for our relationship, but for the well-being of our family. We both agree that we owe it to each other and our kids to try and fix it before walking away from something we've built together. To those who asked, yes, I've always had a very close and loving relationship with my in-laws. Still, this is something only he and I can work through. And something that only you can do is listen to full episodes with more stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. We're on it. Just search OK Storytime. But we have a little bit more to the story. And yes, for those wondering, I'm still going to medical school. There's no way in heck I won't go after all the hard work I've done to get there. I didn't make it this far to just make it this far. Nothing changes that. Whether he's beside me or not, I'll walk this path. I love my family, but I love my kids enough to protect our peace and grow through whatever we need to. I'm also self-aware enough to admit that I struggle with insecurity. I check in often, track locations, and yes, I need a lot of reassurance in relationships. So while I know anything is technically possible, I've never seen a sign of cheating. I'm not naive, but I know myself. I'm not someone who's easy to lie to, and I've always trusted my instincts.
Dude, you know what's
That's the end of that
crazy?
story.
Is I swear to God, it's like 90% of the people who say that are the easiest people to lie to on the planet.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's because they have that,
They're, like,
they
showing
already
you their
hold
weapons.
the notion that they're like, oh, I can always tell when someone's lying.
Yeah.
So then the people that lie to you get away with it all the time because you don't know they're lying to you.
Yeah.
But in your heart, you're like, oh, well, I would have been able to tell.
Yeah.
My aunt demanded I pay for her son's college fees after rejecting my needs.
He's your son, not mine.
I got a job around 3 months ago. It's my first proper job that doesn't happen to be in a fast food restaurant. No, wait, this was to pay for my rent and save up for uni. I live away from my parents because I go to an international school in another city. As per customs in the country I live in, and to show gratitude, I gifted my first paycheck to my parents. Wow. Woo! By the way, this comes from OKTraining8198, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Angie.
And OP says, it wasn't much, but I could see that they appreciated it and were all happy. This lasted for 10 minutes. My mother then decided to go on the family group chat to tell everyone. No blame on her, I understand. I then got a call from my aunt who proceeded to ask me about the details of my job, which seemed fishy considering she hasn't really given a crap about my existence until 2 seconds after that text message was sent. She then explained that her son, my cousin, who goes to the same school and is in my grade, is going to college. No crap. And that I, as a person with a source of income and as a family member, should pay part of his school fees using my next paycheck. She said that as part of the family, I should support him. For the record, I know that my aunt has a substantially larger salary than I do because she's an adult.
Yeah,
With
literally.
adult money. But it seems she doesn't want to spend any of it on things that don't benefit her. Additionally, when I got into this school, my mother called my aunt to ask if I could stay with her until I graduated, but she refused, saying they didn't have the space. Instead, my parents bought me a small flat, and I have to work to contribute to the rent. My aunt went on about how hard my cousin worked to get into college and insisted that I should have some sympathy for him. Honestly, I don't feel any sympathy for a kid who stays out all night and barely puts in the effort at school. With the little patience I had left, I politely reminded her that most of my salary goes to my own basic needs, such as paying rent and buying food, as well as saving up for my tuition fees. She rudely responded with, if you can do that, you should be able to donate some money. If I can, again, pay for surviving, literally surviving.
Oh my gosh.
I've always been taught the value of hard work and self-sufficiency, and now it felt like my effort was being taken for granted. I then hung up on her out of frustration. Later, I got a call from my mother asking why her sister was complaining about me. I explained my end of the story, and now she has blocked my aunt as well. My aunt realized this and has been pestering other relatives to help cover the fees, guilt-tripping and shaming those who don't donate, and is probably ranting in the family chat as I'm writing this. Comments. Comment 1 says, I think I would have laughed if any relative said I need to pay for their child to go to school because I have a job and the other adult child does not. I guess he needs to get a job. Comment 2 says, your mother should suggest that just like you, he can find a job and support himself. OP says he lives under my aunt's roof, so I doubt he pays for rent, let alone food. And there is an update. This is starting to feel like a fever dream. As some of the comments suggested, I did go no contact with my aunt. I didn't talk to her, but I got some hateful messages on social media from people I assume to be my aunt's friends. I hope they're all donating to her.
Right.
This worked for a day until I realized the horrible timing of my last post. Our family has these gatherings for dinner around once every 4 or so months where all our extended family that is descended from my maternal grandmother gathers, usually at a relative's house. This time it was my parents' turn to host, and it felt good to go back because, in my opinion, living alone isn't fun. I got there at around 3 p.m. today. I'm going back to school tomorrow in order to help prepare and, best of all, beat the rest of my relatives to have some quality time with my parents and sister. As soon as I got there, they showed me my aunt ranting out of self-pity in the family group chat, and we laughed a bit. At around 5, my relatives started showing up, including my aunt and her family. I managed to avoid her for the first hour until dinner, as that is when we all sat at a long table and have this time where we go over what everyone has been up to for the past few months. One of my uncles then asked all the kids how school was and eventually asked about me and my cousin's internal results. For context, the school I go to follows the IB exam board, and those of you who are in an IB school probably know it's heck. My cousin went first and told everyone rather smugly that he got a total of 26 out of 45. A pass. And was told by someone to study harder. LOL. It was then my turn, and I told everyone I got a 42, which got me a round of applause and a pissed off look from my cousin. Then my aunt decided to stand up and claim that this was the reason I should help my cousin, as I'm apparently doing well enough, and that my lazy cousin deserves the same opportunity too, because he was trying hard and cut down on playing Call of Duty and is studying.
This is crazy because
Yeah.
her original logic was you should donate to this guy because he worked so hard to get into college.
Yeah.
And because you worked so hard to get a better grade than he did, then like that doesn't mean anything. And his working hard is cutting down on playing Call of Duty.
That's it. He just plays it like one less minute
That's
every night.
crazy.
He's like, oh, yesterday I stopped playing at 11 instead of 11:30.
Right. It's like, I see
pretty
all the
big.
sacrifices he's making for his education.
In my opinion, if you take IBDP and still have time for COD, you must be really smart. She then switched to a customer service voice and started appealing to our other relatives, as well as subtly shading those present that didn't. As some of you suggested, I went and told her that I will donate, but only the same amount of money she paid for my school fees.
Boom.
AKA nothing. And that if my cousin really needed money, I would be glad to share my employer's information with him. I had a lot of fun saying that, but unfortunately got the opposite of the desired effect. My aunt went ballistic and started blaming my mother for raising a heartless and stupid child. Well, you know that she's not stupid.
Yeah, she
got that
much
from too.
smarter than your son.
And that I was now of the age to be a breadwinner for the family, which she emphasized included her.
What the heck is going on?
Why is OP the like freaking maybe 20-year-old, maybe 18?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's young, teenager, basically. Have to be the breadwinner for her aunt?
Like, you being the breadwinner for your family usually means like for your partner and your children, not for
Yeah.
your whole entire
Maybe for your
family.
parents,
Yeah, but
not for your aunt.
it's like, what is
usually.
this? What
And not when
curious
you're the
about their
younger one.
culture?
This pissed my father off, and he hauled my aunt into another room. But we could still hear his cursing and that she shouldn't be dependent on other people. In the end, my aunt walked out with my cousin, but not before demanding that my mother talk some sense into me and some other people, but also to then disown us. But don't disown us, because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, ay, ay.
Because we knew this, you know, like even before when we were joking about like, you know, texting her back her
Yeah.
own words and stuff, you know she's not going to understand that at all. She's going to
No.
make so many excuses
Doesn't
for
understand.
why she's in the right.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this is how it, so at the very least, I'm glad that the rest of the family is not
Yeah,
agreeing
also
with her.
insane.
Because we have read those kinds of stories and it's so frustrating. So I'm glad that your dad is cursing her out in the other room. I
Agreed.
would be too.
Me too.
That's
Get off
nice.
my back, lady.
And now everyone can see how cuckoo she is.
Cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
And hopefully she figures out how to get her son into college and pay for it. This all happened an hour ago. As I am writing this, my aunt is writing in the group chat that if I am to get a scholarship, it should be handed to my cousin. That's not how scholarships work, lady.
Not like legally, you can't do that.
Nope. And I should pay for my tuition myself. I don't think that's how scholarships work. P.S. No hate to my cousin, because to be fair to him, he didn't demand any of me. I think he's just irked that I got a better score. I don't think he's stupid. I just think that he's devoted all his brain power to COD. Comment 1 says, how did your other relatives react to your aunt's demands? Some of them blocked her, some of them screamed into a phone, and some crazy ones actually gave money. Comment 2 says, I don't think being disowned by her is the problem she thinks it is. She was already giving you nothing. OP says she wants my family to disown me and whoever else objected to her humble request. Comment 3 says, how did your cousin react to his mother's embarrassing behavior? OP says, probably, well, she's pissed now. I now have an excuse to hole up in my room and play COD until she calms down. Comment 4, the fact that you gave your parents your first paycheck is pretty wild, but it's cultural, I guess. So the idea that just because you now have a job, you're expected to support your family and your extended family is insane. The greed here is disgusting. Please don't ever give her or your cousin anything. Reply, I remember my stepmonster telling me when I received my first paycheck that some people donate it to charity, and we live in the US, are white and middle class. On the other hand, I never heard her tell that to any other kid in the family. I doubt she encouraged her own whelps to do that. And that's the end.
That's so insane because there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
Like, there's so much logic that we can spit at her, and so much that, like, we could just all of the hypocrisies that we can point out to her, but she doesn't never
care.
understand.
She wants money, and that's it.
Yeah,
And
so
if you can't give her that, then get out of the kitchen.
the point that you just have to be like, you're just crazy. What are
You're
you
just
what are you
crazy, and
doing?
I'm not gonna listen to you anymore.
Yeah, because I don't listen to children when they give me advice or ask for money, so not gonna listen to you.
Exactly. But there is another story, and we're gonna jump into that.
My ex's mother tried to steal my child by creating false reports against me.
Give them back.
Give that back. This comes directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. How quaint. OP says, I, 35 female, am married to a 37 male, and I have one son, 10, from a previous relationship. The bio dad has never met my son and has never tried. The bio dad's mom we'll call her Barb,
Okay.
has been involved in my son's life since around 8 months or so. By the way, this comes from Independent Shift 923. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Riley.
I'm Sophia.
And we're here to give good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers, no matter how much we might look like it. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments.
Get in the comments.
OP says, to fully understand, it's important to know our history. The bio dad, let's call him Chad, was in an on and off relationship with me for 6 years. He cheated on me with multiple women throughout the entire relationship.
Yikes.
He went overseas for schools, we did the long distance, and he still cheated. He flunked out of his overseas school and came to mine, cheated on me still, and flunked out of first year. Eventually, I got pregnant. When I was pregnant, Chad and Barb tried everything they could to pressure me regarding the pregnancy, slandering my character and trying to talk to my parents who are very Christian. They called the cops and CAS on me with claims that I was on a downward spiral and they were concerned. As you can imagine, my pregnancy was very stressful. I was taking the bus to work and medical appointments and working 2 jobs, so I had a good maternity leave and just felt so alone and worthless. Fast forward to the birth of my son. Chad completely ghosted me at this point. All of a sudden, Barb wanted to be involved in the baby's life. Fine. I took initiative and brought the baby to Barb's and included her. Barb would become one of my main supports during my son's infancy. We got really close and bonded over our mutual love for this child. Unfortunately, Barb has no conflict resolution skills and doesn't know how to communicate effectively.
Classic.
We wouldn't be on this Reddit if we did
If we had communication skills.
Yeah. We had a difference in opinion regarding discipline for my child, and she called CAS on me for a second time. Unknown to her, CAS keeps track of people who make claims and considered this her second false claim against me. Barb goes to Mexico for about 2 months of the year. So on this particular year, I reached out to her and let her know that although the CAS claim was anonymous, I knew with certainty it was her and that I would not facilitate FaceTimes between them while they were away. I let her know when she returned, we would have a discussion about why she called CAS and some resolutions towards this. At the time this was all happening, I was working full-time and doing university courses part-time. When she returned from Mexico, she wanted to see my son. I reminded her that we would be having a discussion about the call and also that I was in the middle of exams and would need her to wait. Can I just say, props to OP.
Yeah.
Working
business.
university?
Yeah.
Mother?
Working university mother.
She's slaying.
She's doing it
A
all.
pilot?
Probably
Bus
a
driver?
pilot. We don't know.
The next day, I was served with court papers claiming parental rights with my son. Game freaking on. I went that entire summer with her not seeing my son once due to the court proceedings. When we were finally face-to-face in court at the end of the summer, she dropped all charges and considered this to reconcile between us. Okay? So we move on.
That's insane. I'm sorry.
Do we
like,
move on?
So if like I had a grandparent, mother, like in-law or something that literally sued me to try and take my child away from me, I'd be like, you're never seeing my kid again.
Yeah. Well, and even because the mom had called beforehand and like
Yes.
was pressuring her while she was pregnant, the fact that the Barb was
Yeah.
involved at all, she was already, I feel like, on thin ice.
Yeah, I'd be like, you're never seeing my kid. You
That's
suck.
crazy. Oh, goodness. Okay. I've always had issues with Barb following my son's schedule for sleeping and whatnot. I generally found that after a night with her, he needed an extra day to get back on his schedule, which really sucked for me as a single working mom. But honestly, I just appreciated so much that she loved him as much as she does. My son is now 10. In between all of this time, I've taken Chad to court for child support and won.
Nice.
Nice.
She's winning court case after court case.
It's kind of an episode of like
Yeah.
just slaying mothers in the
This is
21st
Judge
century.
Judy.
And she is taking Chad to court for repaying her for like 14 years of schooling, of which he still is somehow not done with school, a professional student. Within the last few years, we've had issues with Barb and her husband buying our son whatever he wants, whenever he wants, despite the cost. In her defense, Barb's 2 sons don't speak to her or want anything to do with her, so my son is her only person to spend money on. We've asked them to please check in with us before they buy something because, for example, our son was earning $15 for something he really wanted, and we had chores in place for him to achieve his goal by the weekend. Once Barb heard about this, she made sure to hand over the remaining cash he needed without talking to us first. Not cool, Grandma.
Not cool. Why is she still like around? I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be allowing her
Yeah.
access at least without me there to
I-
monitor.
I feel like if I had to guess, and obviously we can never speak for these people, but like if you are a single mother who is working and in school,
any help
like
you can get.
yeah,
For
and so
sure.
you probably think you can like, okay, well, we'll just handle it or da. But yeah, at some point, I also do love OP's little comments.
Yeah, not
freaking
cool.
on.
Yeah, not
Not
cool,
cool,
grandma.
She was helping us out with 1 day a week pickups, so our son knew every week that whatever he needed to earn would be given to him if he asked. This is frustrating because it takes away the value of the lesson we're trying to teach as parents. We've expressed this to her many, many, many times with absolutely no change. In June of this year, I was getting married. You're planning a wedding during all of this too?
Whoo-wee,
My
look at
God.
you go. Wonder Woman over here.
Godspeed.
Yeah.
We were going to get married at the courthouse first and then have a small wedding after at a later date. We asked Barb if she could pick up our son from school on the day that we were going to the courthouse so that we could have the time to get that done without stress. She agreed, of course. I'm so scared.
Uh-oh. OP's about to get 16 calls.
I had to have a conversation with her about giving my son permission to do things when we had already had a discussion about the expectations, and after that, she withdrew herself from babysitting our son for our courthouse wedding.
She's like, I actually don't like that you gave me any notes, so I won't be doing this anymore at all. Literally, OP's just trying to get freaking married.
Imagine you're trying to get married.
Yeah.
And this is crazy.
I will say the single mother's best friend, I feel, is your kid's friend's mom or like parent, whoever's picking up, you know? Like,
yeah.
you make friends with the other parents and then they pick up your child.
That's the thing. We got to start making other branches of support because Barb's not cutting it.
Yeah.
She removed herself from helping out weekly with our son with the intention of punishing me in some way. As I am used to this behavior from her, I asked my mom if she could step in, which she was able to, and we were able to fulfill our plans without her. I sent her an email the next day, just letting her know that I respect her boundaries, and I'm really sorry to hear that she wants to spend less time with our son, because she does go to Mexico for quite a bit, and the only person that would really be missing out is our son. After she got this email, she thought she could re-invite herself to our wedding and replace herself into our son's weekly needs without a conversation. I very quickly let her know that she uninvited herself from the wedding and we would not be re-inviting her, and that her decision to have less time with our son remains because she set that boundary and I will respect her boundaries.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, if this is what you want, we'll respect it.
Yeah.
It sucks because I honestly think if OP had more support systems, she probably would have done this way sooner.
Yeah.
But, like, she, unfortunately, out of, like, necessity, needed this woman. And now she, you know, gotta get rid of her.
Bye-bye, Barb.
Bye-bye.
I had every intention to honor her and her husband as much as I honored my parents at my wedding because I truly did feel like she was a very important person in my life and in my son's life. So the wedding comes and goes, and she never talks to me about her decision to uninvite herself from the wedding and all of the changes that occurred since she removed herself. I had specifically asked for less contact between her and I because I was very disappointed. And I do feel like after the history that we've had, I feel all done. To not have a conversation about something like that is so inappropriate and not at all the way I act around people that I care about. So, as always, after time has passed, she slowly starts moving away from sending all of her messages into a group chat, which I had asked for, and she starts messaging me privately. Because I care about her and our history, I allow it. It's nothing we haven't said before, but like you can see this story having like all of these things of like, big thing, cut off, okay, and kind of back, and then big thing, cut off, okay, and back.
I think it's frustrating because I think OP, again, is so reliant on, like, rightfully so. She doesn't have a lot of help, and so she does need any of this help where she can get it. But it's like, yeah, it does kind of give grandma, or makes her feel like she can do whatever she wants.
Even though we've had multiple conversations about purchasing big items for our son without talking to us, it was almost like it got kicked into hyperdrive after the wedding. They were buying our son $200 Lego sets, $50 of Robux, etc. every single time they saw him without talking to us. I sent her a message and I said, I think it's pretty gross that you guys continue to buy big priced items for our son when we've asked you to please check in. I said I no longer consider you family, and this is why. Shoo. After I sent that message, her husband sent my husband a message saying that he didn't like the way I was talking to her and that he was the one that decided to purchase the toy and that I agreed to a small priced item.
And he's like, you agreed to a small priced item. We have a lot of money.
Yeah.
$200 is like $5.
Just go ahead.
It's
Get the
pocket
Star Wars
change.
Lego set.
Go whatever you want, kid.
Well, because my son is 10, I asked him to show us what toy was purchased by Papa, and he proceeded to show me 2 toys that cost over $80.
Dang.
I'm feeling very frustrated at this point because it's like I'm so clear and concise with my expectations, and I always welcome open communication, and I will always express exactly how I feel about a situation and what I'm expecting.
A lot of my toys were like passed down to me, you know? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way toys should be.
Yeah, agreed.
Lightly used.
$80 Robux.
Yeah, no.
By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this by going to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Story.
Do it.
Do it.
I think you gotta hold firm this time,
Yeah.
you know, because like every other time you've said, we're cutting you off, she leaves, she comes back, you let her back. And I feel like she's not gonna learn the lesson and she's gonna keep stomping those boundaries
Yeah.
if you let her back in after saying you're not family.
Yeah, because we've already
Yeah,
said
we've done it
that
before.
you're not family.
Yeah.
So let's stick by it. Okay. So I feel like her husband saying it was a small ticket item is a lie. And I'm just not interested in having this type of relationship with other adults that are old enough to be my parents. After we received this message from Barb's husband, I decided to block her. My son is able to call her from his phone via FaceTime, and she is also able to call him via FaceTime. There's also communication open between herself and my husband, and so I don't feel that I personally need to be part of this dynamic anymore. I felt such a relief in my nervous system knowing that she is blocked and knowing that I won't have to deal with any weird social trickery from someone who obviously doesn't respect or truly love me. Am I the a-hole?
No.
No.
No. But that's the end of that story.
My husband excluded our daughter on their boys' trip.
But I want to go.
I, 43 female, have triplets. Mark, Liam, and Abby, 14, with my husband, Josh, 45 male. Last Friday, Josh decided to bring Mark and Liam on a spontaneous trip to Six Flags. Okay,
Already messed
a-hole.
up.
Already messed up.
Already messed up.
I don't like amusement parks, so I wasn't bothered by not being invited. Abby asked to go as well, but Mark and Liam said it was a boys' trip and that she would ruin the vibe. Abby was upset because she felt left out, and I felt bad for her, so I decided we'd have a day out. By the way, this comes from ClickDependent8, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And we're here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do know, so let us know what you know in the comments down below. Opie says, on Saturday, we went to Cake Cheese Manufacturer, our favorite restaurant, a local spa, and I let her have a mini shopping spree at the
Ooh.
mall that only came out to be under $50.
Heck yeah.
That's a win for me. I paid for it all since I got a hefty bonus and didn't know what else to spend it on. Felt better after that, and we even had a heartfelt mother-daughter moment at a bear completion where we made each other bears. We also had brunch on Sunday, although it wasn't very costly. Boys came home last Sunday, and Abby was excited to tell Josh all about what we did over the weekend. The dad. He got mad and confronted me about it, saying I shouldn't have done that.
I'm sorry, what? Loser says what?
You can have a spontaneous trip. Wife can't have a spontaneous trip.
This is ridiculous. He's
Wife
like,
got bonus out of her
"This
own
was-
pocket.
this is boys' night. You couldn't do anything during boys' weekend.
Okay. Sounded like a good old-fashioned convo before any
Like,
of
why
this
are
would have
we-
fixed it.
Why are we gendering the things that I would understand if you had, like, my dad and Sam will go on trips together, and you know that's kind of like they have like their boys' time, me and but also my dad and I will do stuff together as well. And also Sam's older than me, so there is a different relationship there. I don't understand why this trip had to be excluding Abby when they're all the same age.
And they're going to Six Flags.
They're
They're not
Six Flags.
going
It's not even like
a hunting trip, a
It- yeah.
fishing trip.
well, it's not like the two boys were super into hunting and Abby's like, I hate hunting.
Yeah. Or like
It doesn't make sense.
that's
I don't think a trip should be gendered. It should be like, I'm interested in this. These kids are interested in this, and this one's not.
Well, okay, I disagree with you there.
Why?
I do think that some trips should be gendered because I feel like having the brotherhood of men together or like the sisterhood of women together builds this like kind of bond. Not saying like if you're going to Six Flags, everyone can go to Six Flags.
Mhm.
But if I'm going out with the boys, we're going to like go eat
All you can eat sushi.
all you can eat sushi.
But why can't your daughter go to that?
I need boy time for that. And I would explain, but here's the messed up
See,
part.
I don't agree with that.
Here's the messed up part. He didn't explain it to her. Like,
I don't think
hey,
even if my dad explained that, I'd be like, that's messed up. Why can't I come?
okay.
I would be, as a child, I would be incredibly hurt if my father was like, I'm taking these 2 other kids that are your age, your siblings, and you can't come because you're a girl.
So my dad would take me to play basketball. We'd leave our brothers at home.
Yeah, because you're older.
Well, I don't,
Yeah.
I think
it was an age thing.
Because it's an amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's where I don't like that
Yeah,
part.
I
think you
totally
can
understand what
absolutely
you're
have
both
individual
saying.
time.
I understand
Yeah.
what you're both saying, but
Yeah.
the fact that they went to an amusement park and never brought it up, and
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, we're
That's
going.
ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that's messed up.
That's messed up.
I don't like that. But if they were to go on like let's say they both like basketball, they went on a basketball trip spontaneously, boom, that's where it would happen. And I would
I think-
explain that to the daughter.
I think if daughter didn't like basketball, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But
I
if she
would-
did, I'd be like, why
I
are we
would be
taking you?
like, I would have a conversation with my kids because they're triplets.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, boys, if the boys like a baseball game and Abby doesn't like a baseball game, great.
Yeah, perfect.
And I'm like, Abby, we can do
Let's
something
do
in
something
But you don't
Yes.
but you don't agree on gendered trips at all.
No, not with your kids when they're the same age. I agree with age trips, like when you have different ages, and I agree that you can want to spend one-on-one time with your kids.
That's Sophia's opinion. And everyone, I have a different opinion than Sophia. And
Clearly.
we're going to continue this story having different opinions.
And I'm neutral.
That's attaboy. I asked why, because he refused to let Abby go in the first place. And he said it was a boys' trip and that I shouldn't get her used to special treatment for not being involved in anything.
Hate that.
Dude,
Hate that.
totally missing the ball
This
here.
feels very, very gendered. He's like, she's a girl,
She
so I'm
can't
not gonna
like
hang out
roller
with her.
coasters.
And I also don't want her to get anything ever.
I asked why it bothered him so much since I know he'd do it for our sons, but he won't tell me why it bothers him so much.
Because he's being sexist.
He ended up even trying to take her bear, but I wouldn't let him. He's being cold to me and Abby now, and I'm at a loss. Am I the a-hole?
No.
Dude, we got
Your husband's the a-hole.
Yeah, we're going to our middle person figuring this out ASAP.
Well, what I want to know is, does your husband hang out with Abby one-on-one? Does he make time specifically for her? Because if he doesn't, if he's always doing boys trips and he never actually makes time for Abby,
I have an answer for that.
perfect.
Has OP's husband acted like this before? OP says he's never acted this way before, which is really confusing me.
Doesn't actually answer my question.
Well, he's never like took the boys out on trips before, I think. But we don't know what the day-to-day relationship between
Yeah.
the dad and Abby is.
I would love more information about that.
Commenter 1 says this is alarming behavior, to be honest. If they're allowed boys trips, why are the girls not allowed girls trips? Unless he can give a better explanation. The only reason he's against this is because he wanted her to feel excluded. Why does he insist his daughter to feel excluded? Does he hate her or something? Is this the first time he's treated her less than when it comes to all the kids? OP says he's refused to explain why and just says that it's not right and won't explain further. I don't know if he hates her, but I'm wondering now. I'm wondering why he would treat her this way. There have been times before where he'd get to take the boys somewhere extravagant and take Abby somewhere else less exciting after, like taking her sons camping for the weekend and taking Abby to Denny's to make it up. No, we're taking Abby to tea time and we're all dressing up as princesses.
Oh,
That's what we're doing afterwards.
yeah, that's what we're doing.
Oh my
You better make it
gosh.
up to her.
If I was in this situation, I get the camping trip, but I'm going all out even more
Yeah.
for Abby because I took 2 kids to a camping trip. I'm gonna have to
Exactly.
double that and give it to her.
The
I
fact
think
that
you need to spend time with each child with the things that they like to do.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's like, yeah, that equals out, right? I'll take the boys
Yeah.
on a camping trip, and then, honey,
we'll go
I'm
to
gonna take you to
Denny's."
like just a breakfast chain
That's so messed up.
and get you like a waffle.
I think if the 2 little boys were like, I want to go camping, and Abby was like, I don't want to go camping, and then the dad took the boys camping, I think, and Abby did, like, I don't think you should take Abby with you if she's like, I don't want to go camping. But you should then focus on her and give her like a little
Simple resolution.
yeah.
You just ask.
yeah,
Ask her, hey, honey,
exactly.
what do you want to do?
Exactly.
Yeah. So back to the Denny's thing, but she always seemed to appreciate it. So I put thought into it. Now I'm wondering if she was an afterthought to him.
Seems like it.
Another commenter says his refusal to explain is an explanation. He wants her to feel like a second-class citizen. You know that you also were not invited, but it didn't bother you because it was conveniently something you're not into. Are you also treated as a second-class citizen, but it's just conveniently happens to be things you're not interested in? Does he treat you to a lesser experience as a way of making up for the times you're excluded? I'm wondering if it's a he hates his daughter thing or if it's a sexism thing. He says, I've never felt like I was being treated like a second-class citizen by him or Mark or Liam. If anything, they treat me like I'm one of the wonders of the world. Usually, if he plans trips, I'm the first one he has involved, even before we tell the kids. He just insisted this time that it was a boys' trip. Did anyone else meet up with Josh, Mark, and Liam? How did the kids get along with each other? As far as I know, they didn't bring anyone else or meet anyone. No. Liam, Mark, and Abby usually get along, and at the worst deal with typical sibling rivalry, but it's never been as bad as this. Another commenter, not the a-hole, I don't get your husband's reaction. Was he possibly going to do a daddy-daughter day and now feels he can't? But why wouldn't he tell you? And trying to take her bear? That's the equivalent of saying you don't deserve anything because you don't have a wiener. I don't know. I think this goes deep and is worth digging into. 14 is such a hard age. OP says, I asked him if he was going to take her anywhere before he left for Six Flags, actually. He just said no. He seemed frustrated, but I figured he was just focused on packing, so I never pushed it further.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, we don't have to read between the lines here. This is pretty obvious.
This is frustrating.
Does OP have her own one-on-one with each of her children? Mark and I go to Olive Garden together, and Liam isn't much of a restaurant person, so
See?
we have macaroni and cheese nights if it's just me and him.
See, this is what I like. She's got these individual, like, Mark and I do this, Liam and I do this, and then Abby and I do this. That's what I like.
Yeah, I try to spend time with them individually. I take Mark to the arcade and Liam to the museums if he wants to visit. I promise I don't just focus on Abby.
Yeah, I think it's just so hard with 3 kids that are all the same age. Like, one's gonna feel if you don't invite all of them, one of them is going to feel left out.
I have to just ask the question of these triplets being identical or fraternal because I feel like the dad's like,
well, they're not. They're not identical because she's a girl.
well, I mean,
so they can't be identical.
They can't be identical. So okay, that makes a lot of sense. But that's just so funny to me. Like the dad's just like, this is so hard. I have to focus on the 2 boys or the 1 girl.
Yeah.
The boys.
The boy, literally, that's what he's like. I don't know how to parent a girl, so I'm gonna focus on the boys. And also, it went a step beyond. Like, regardless of whether or not you think the boy trip thing is fine, he went a step beyond that and said, also, she shouldn't even have anything fun.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
I read some comments. There were some crazy comments of, does the husband not think Abby is his? She's like, no, they're triplets.
No.
Can you kick the husband out? No, the house was inherited from his grandmother, so he can't kick him out. And he can maybe kick them out. I don't know. But we have an update.
Oh boy, let's freaking do it.
3 months later.
Oh man.
Any guesses?
I think he's just being sexist.
Okay.
I really hope that 3 months later he starts taking Abby out to more cool places and
Yep.
realizes to be a better parent.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yep.
That's my wishful thinking.
Been a while since I made my first post, and enough time has passed that I figured I would update. Firstly, I want to clear some things up. The boys' trip was not just one day. It was from Friday to Tuesday. I saw multiple people say it was just a day trip, so I wanted to clarify that. The question everyone is asking, why did I defend Josh? I wish I had an answer better than I was in denial. I didn't want to think that Josh was horrible because I truly loved him at the time.
Uh-oh.
I don't anymore.
Oh.
At the time, though, I was scared to accept that he was a bad person. The update.
Well, that was an intro.
I saw the
Certainly
first sentence.
hooked me.
Yeah, not that. Yeah, well,
Let's get into it.
wishful thinking.
I need
Wishful
to
thinking
know.
was not very wishful there. Yeah.
The update. I took the kids and we went to my sister's house. Mark and Liam protested, but I told them it wasn't their choice to make. I told Josh that we were leaving for a while, and he literally said, fine, as long as I can keep the boys with me.
Wow, you suck.
We had an argument about it, and it escalated to the point where the police had to intervene. He didn't get physical, but he was verbally aggressive towards all of us, and they had to calm him down. I think that was the moment I realized I couldn't do it anymore and decided it was over for us. I was able to force him into family therapy with the help of his family. They were all appalled by his behavior and didn't understand what was happening either. I wish I could tell you all that we came to a big revelation and finally understood everything, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. The therapist asked Abby to speak, and she asked Josh directly why he didn't let her go on the trip and why he got upset that she spent the day with me. He refused to speak and just walked out of the session. Wait, he blocked both me and my daughter? And the last thing I heard from him was him texting Liam and telling him to tell me that he expects custody of both the boys and not Abby if we divorce. What happened on this trip? What happened at Six Flags?
No, this is how he felt the whole time. I mean, it's super clear that this is how he felt about his daughter the whole time. He did not value her. That's devastating.
Why won't he say anything?
Yeah, now you got to get full custody.
It's wild.
Keep those texts, by the way.
Yeah.
Or, like, I would be like, hey, Liam, I need those texts because you got to understand that's not right.
Yeah. You don't want to be separated from your sister.
Dude, the emotional. Also, if there's like some kind of test you can have on a guy of his emotional intelligence before you get married, take the test. I see a lot.
See what he thinks about women.
Especially like where I'm from, the emotional intelligence is very lackluster in a lot of relationships. And it's very frustrating. You can have opinions about things, but if you can't really explain why you think that way, or you're saying it because someone else told you to think that way,
or you can't take somebody else's opinion like that.
Oh my gosh,
differs from yours.
Yes, you can't like agree to disagree.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, jeez, yeah.
I still don't understand what's going on with him, and neither does his family. I also talked to all the kids separately. Abby said that nothing happened between the two of them, and she was confused as to why he hated her. Liam and Mark said that he told them they should leave Abby home because this was a father-son trip and insisted that the trip was going to have a certain dynamic that Abby would ruin. He convinced them not to want her on the trip, and they obliged because he said he was going to cancel it if she came along. As for what happened on the trip, they just said they spent pretty much all their time at Six Flags, and the worst thing that happened was they didn't have sunscreen.
That is pretty bad.
You know, karma.
Yeah.
Karma.
Deserved. Unfortunately.
As of right now, we're still living with my sister. Mark and Liam are still sharing a room and got used to it. Abby is still shaken up from the situation. Sometimes I catch her blaming herself for all of this. But I make sure to remind her that it's not her fault. All three are on a wait list for individual therapy right now, and I'm considering it for myself. But for now, I'm focusing on them. I'm looking to see what my options are for housing. And as much as I would love to keep her home, I don't know if I can, and I'm looking into other houses and apartments as backup. I'm hoping the divorce process goes smoothly, but I can see Josh dragging it out as long as possible. I'm monitoring Mark and Liam's text in case Josh says anything or tries pitting them against me or Abby. He still won't talk to Abby or me, which I'm fine with as of now. I know Abby misses her dad, but I think she realizes that she's better off without him. That's basically everything right now. I'm not sure if this is the end of everything or if I'll be dealing with this a lot more with a divorce. In any case, I think my kids and I will be fine. Thanks to everyone on the original thread for giving me advice and helping me pull off the rose-tinted glasses. I dread to think about what would have happened if I never came here and stayed with Josh. We have some comments. You can stay with us on your favorite podcast platform. Just search up OK Storytime on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. For more stories like this, we got like 76 days or something like that.
Yeah, this is the only way. And I think that you should get full custody if he's still making that demand that he only wants the sons.
Yeah, we have some comments left here. Okay, someone's like, is it possible that he believes Abby isn't his? Very strange behavior.
They're twins. They're triplets.
Yeah, someone did say it's possible.
But it's so unlikely. It's so unlikely. And I'm sure they look like each other. That would be like incredibly unlikely.
Or that he thought after having two boys, he'd have another one and got disappointed. Yeah.
Again, they're triplets.
He probably wanted 3 boys. OP says she's definitely going for full custody, or at least nothing more than supervised visits from him. Psych Val would be a good idea. I'll try and talk to my attorney about this, considering his own family doesn't agree with his behavior or know what's going on with him, and we can have the family therapy incident as proof. I can hope that will be enough to get a psych evaluation or at least prove if he isn't fitted to be around them alone.
Yeah, I think that's the best course of action. Get them away from him. Supervised visits at the most. But yeah, this is not a man fit to take care of his kids. But folks, that's the end of that story, and we've got another one. My husband is demanding a divorce, and all I could think about is my home decor.
Really gotta think about what color to paint the walls.
And trigger warning, emotional. I made this account because my main one has my friends on it, and I'm way too embarrassed to be known as the cheated on wife. I'm 34, female, married for 7 years to my husband, 41 male, together for 10. I loved my husband and always thought he felt the same about me. We built a life together. By the way, this comes from Total Dumb 9559, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
I'm Pickles. Just kidding, I'm Keon. Hi.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. 8 years ago, he had severe anxiety and couldn't sleep. So I would stay up with him, holding his hands and doing breathing exercises until he could finally rest. I'd go to work exhausted. I helped him find a therapist. I encouraged him to grow in his career, even though he was afraid. 6 years ago, I quit my job to take care of his mom, who had cancer, because he had the potential to earn more than me. While I was job hunting again, I got pregnant, and he suggested I stay home to take care of him and our daughter. So I did. I cared for him, and I loved him. In December, he got a promotion, which meant more hours. I gave birth to our daughter in March and went through a phase where I felt horrible, fat, ugly, and it was just me and my baby at home. He barely talked to me, always said he was tired and that I wouldn't understand what he had to say. If it wasn't for my mom staying on video calls with me, I think I would have felt completely abandoned. I've been suggesting couples therapy since June, and he kept saying everything was fine. Now I feel like I'm nothing more than a mother. I used to read, study, be interesting. I wasn't spicily frustrated or insecure back then. I used to have conversations about politics, music, books, art. I decorate our house myself with my own savings, and it's everything I ever dreamed of. I love my house, the colors, the furniture, my kitchen. It took me years to make it exactly how I wanted. I have the garden I've always dreamed of, a vegetable patch I adore, and a hanging chair where I love to sit with my baby. Last week, he came home later than usual, and I was happy to see him. I was in the living room playing with our daughters, and he asked the older one to go to her room. He seemed like he had been drinking and then said, "I love you so much, but I don't want to be with you anymore." He told me I wasn't the person he fell in love with anymore. Then he said he was in love with a girl from work, that she was everything he'd ever dreamed of, and that he needed to give himself the chance to live that love without guilt. Yes, he cheated on me with a 22-year-old, and he is
I can check.
30. He's 41. OP's 34.
Yeah.
When I finally managed to speak, the only thing that came out was, "But what about my home decor?"
OP pop off.
And at some
great.
point, I picked up my baby and started shouting things like, "I put time into this house. I did everything it needed. This house is mine." And sometimes when terrible things happen to us, your brain can't handle it and
Yeah.
kind of starts focusing on the things that seem a little bit more manageable to be upset about.
Like, what
Like home
happens
decor.
with your home decor?
We argued because apparently I didn't value his suffering enough.
His
Wait,
suffering
wait,
enough?
His suffering?
Oh,
Whoa.
no, after that, it's only home decor.
Yeah, it's like, no, I
spiting
really
you.
don't care about
Yeah,
you.
We're not talking about anything but my decor anymore.
I'm 34 with a 4-month baby and a 4-year-old daughter. I don't have a job. I'm going to lose my dream home. I feel ugly and fat, and he's told me he's not attracted to me anymore because I gained too much weight during my last pregnancy.
Oh my
You mean like-
God.
You mean like the baby?
the baby?
You mean like the baby that was in her
baby?
belly? You mean
That
like the whole
one?
other person that she was carrying inside of her? I'm going to talk with his mom and brother about the divorce today. I'm starting with them because they're close to me, and his brother went through a divorce over infidelity early last year. Also, his mom is very attached to me for obvious reasons. I was there for her during the worst part of her life, and his brother and I are also very close. I also texted my mom, and she's coming here to stay with me and the girls. I hope she gets the visa to visit, and my dad, who's American, will be coming to my state in 2 weeks. Edit 2, I talked to his brother about the affair, and he's leaving. He told me to find a lawyer, the same thing you all said. Now we're talking to a few lawyers today. Good, I'm glad you have a support system.
Yes.
Woo!
Keep that home decor.
I accepted the help because I have the girls with me, so it's hard to do everything alone. Commenter 1 says, "I'm so sorry this happened to you. If you want the house, you'll need to fight for it in the divorce. If your husband was even a little bit decent, he should leave it to you and your daughters so that the kids aren't uprooted.
Yeah.
That's the least he can do for you. If he wants to go build another life, he'll regret. You're gonna need resolve and a plan. Get evidence of his cheating and start building your case." OP says, "I'm looking online for lawyers, but I don't know what I'm looking for." Commenter 2 says, "Family law attorney in your area. Why should you move? In the US, you don't work, and he does. You're a primary caregiver to kids. Did someone tell him that banging a 22-year-old was free? That was the most expensive thing he's ever done." OP says, "I don't want to move. I've been living in the US for 16 years, but I'm from South America. Honestly, I'm scared even though I'm here legally." Downvoted commenter says, "Yeah, so you wouldn't miss him, but just the house?" OP says, I'm going to miss him so much. I love him and I gave so much of myself to him. I can't even describe to you how much it hurts to take a hit like this. It hurts so much that I don't even think about how much I'll miss him.
Yeah, OP doesn't need to be out here talking about how much she
No.
loves this dude. The second he
Yeah.
cheated on her.
He cheated on her.
That's insane.
I feel like all the commenters are like, did you even like him? You don't even care. It's
Yeah,
like,
not
no.
anymore, I don't.
I think about how I dedicated so much time to all of this, and he wanted a second daughter, and she's here at 4 months old while he's sleeping with a new girl. I'm in pain, and I'm angry. So angry. Commenter 3 says, I think that your first reaction, being about home decor, tells you everything that you need to know. Your relationship with him was done, and now you can move on to better things. He doesn't deserve you or the lovely home you created. Another commenter says, leaving OP with a 4-month-old is pretty crappy behavior, but her response indicates to me that there wasn't a lot of space for him in the relationship. She referred to it as her house, her decor, her vegetable garden. My marriage broke down for similar reasons, although I didn't leave for my secretary. It was pretty clear to me that my wife considered her role to be looking after the house and the kids, and my role was to pay for everything.
And that's exactly how her husband made it, by telling her not to go back to work and making her a stay-at-home mom.
OP says he didn't want to get involved in anything related to the house, neither taking care of it, nor maintaining it, nor giving opinions. Everything was whatever. Another commenter says, so basically you put him on a pedestal and made him your god and served him, neglecting yourself and everything that made you who you are. Now you're crying about the dang house and how unfair of him to do this to you.
Why are we so mean?
Wasn't unfair of you to abandon yourself for that man. If you abandon you, why would he stick with you? And it is a waste of time giving advice here. You'll take him back in a second if he said, sorry, I made a mistake. You really will stay with him and fight for him until the end, when you should only focus on you, not him. So do you want us to say how evil he is doing this to a perfect person like you? Oh, but yeah, do couples therapy. Can't lose that house.
I am going to reach through the phone.
That's a rage baiter.
There was so many of them back to back.
That's a rage baiter.
Why are we saying these things?
You guys stink.
You're the worst.
Stinky. OP says, I neglected myself in many ways, really, along the way. I may have changed, but everything I did came from the bottom of my heart. I took care of his mother because I cared about her. I had and cared for my daughters because I wanted to be a mother, and it made sense for me to care for our children. And I took care of him because I like taking care of the people I love.
If you're dating someone, you have to be okay with the fact that as you continue to date them, they're going to grow and become new versions of themselves over and over and over again. And if you're not ready to love all of them, then what are we doing?
I had never even thought about how much I neglected myself until now, because I accepted so many things since I loved him and was busy with all that. To be really honest, I didn't even want to have my youngest daughter. He was the one who insisted. I hope one day I can be as strong-willed as you, and I hope you never go through this, because unfortunately it's very easy to lose yourself in motherhood, and in the role of wife, I got lost. And no, I do not intend to get back with my husband. I'm afraid of losing my home and my daughters. And OP also says, I've been friends with his brother for a long time and he went through a difficult divorce. That's why he's with me. I decided not to tell the rest of his family yet until we have a lawyer. Apparently he hasn't told anyone either. And there is an update a week later. Any thoughts?
I'm mad.
I'm mad at these commenters.
I'm mad at these
OP
commenters.
never said that she was getting back together with her husband.
She never said anything like that.
She literally just said, I realized, wow, I've really focused on this house, and this relationship probably wasn't as good as I thought it was. Which is a fine relationship or a fine realization to have.
Why are we blaming her for getting
Literally,
cheated
she got
on?
cheated on. And the reason that he gave was not, you don't care about me, you focus. It was the reason he gave was that you had too much weight when you were pregnant.
Sorry, you carried our child for 9 months, and I'm over it.
Update a week later. A brief summary of what happened this week, and I can't believe I loved this man. My brother-in-law is staying at my house until my family arrives, and my best friend visits me every day. On Monday, my brother-in-law asked my ex to leave the house, and strangely, he actually listened to his brother. Since then, he's only been tormenting me through messages. He wants an amicable divorce and keeps making proposals that only benefit him.
Shocker.
I've been trying to stick to a routine because I have 2 children and they need stability, and apparently I'm the only one willing to provide that. Yesterday, he texted me saying he wanted to see the kids, and I agreed. He showed up after they were already asleep. I swore he wasn't going to come. He arrived here at 11 p.m. with a document wanting to talk about how he'd like to keep the house and pay me an additional amount for my share. I just stared at him without saying anything. I asked him to leave because the kids were sleeping. My brother-in-law added that it wasn't the right time or place to discuss this and asked him to leave. I don't know what happened to him, but this doesn't seem like the man I married. He yelled at my brother-in-law saying he was betraying him, that he wanted to play house because his own marriage didn't work out. Then he yelled at me, calling me a lazy witch who wasn't going to take his money. He said this house was his and that his 22-year-old girlfriend Anne told him I was going to try and keep the house he bought. We didn't respond. I just said he should leave because he was getting messy, and then he left. I don't know why he wants the house when he can afford to buy another one, and I don't understand how the person I marry could try to trick me just to come out ahead in the divorce. By the way, you guys can come out ahead in life if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. Hey, boy.
I'm too upset to give advice.
Yeah, I mean, he just sucks. He's a terrible person. And I'm glad that you have a support system that is there for you.
His family.
Yeah,
It's
shocking.
crazy.
It's like, it's so clear that this guy sucks when his family is on your side.
I love how he's like, so yeah, my new girlfriend told me that
Yeah,
you're gonna try
My
and
new
take the
girlfriend
house.
really wants a
Your girlfriend
house.
said that you're trying to take the house.
And she
that
said,
it's my
actually, this
house?
is her house.
She's 22.
And
Shut up.
she deserves a house.
She's 22 with a friggin'
She would
40-year-old.
decorate it better.
Come on. There is a little bit left. I kept asking myself if this is the man I married. He wants me gone. He wants the kids gone. He didn't ask about the girls, about his own daughters. He didn't see them or even ask to give them a goodnight kiss. To him and to Anne were just an obstacle. Nothing more. I'm not even a person.
Yeah, where are you now, commenters?
Yeah. Commenters.
He doesn't even want
you're
to
gonna
see
blame
his
his
daughters.
kids? You blame his
Commenters.
kids? Comment 1 says the 22-year-old wants the house. Yeah.
No poop.
OP says for sure, but she won't even come close. What makes me angriest is that it took me so long to get the house to look the way it does today. And now some girl comes along and he just assumes I'm going to give my house to them? Comment 2 says, did he buy the house before you were married, or did you both buy it after you were married? If he came into the marriage with the house, there isn't much you can do and he'll likely get the house. If not, then you will probably get the house in the divorce, as that is the home of the kids. I would suggest keeping all communications in text so that you have evidence of what he said. Keep a notebook as well to make notes of anything he does or says or doesn't do regarding the kids. If he says he'll visit but doesn't make a note of it, this will help you in child custody. OP says, I paid part of the down payment. He pays the mortgage, but I invested around 15% of the value in renovations and decoration. Comment 3 says, I'm so proud of you for standing your ground and protecting yourself and the kids. I think brother-in-law has always known who his brother is, a selfish a-hole, and is helping you and the kids because he knows how his brother can be. Brother-in-law sounds like a decent guy, and I'm so glad you have someone in your corner as you wait for reinforcements. At least you have your 2 babies and won't have to worry about custody. Please get therapy when and if you can, so you have someone to process this with. OP says, honestly, he and my best friends are the best. After 4 months, I finally have time to rest and get help with my baby. Do you know how good it feels to take a 40 to 50 minute shower just to relax? I've been alone for so long that I thought it was normal to do everything by myself. OP says, my dad is going to pay for my lawyer. My mom is also supporting me financially. And my brother-in-law has also offered to cover expenses if necessary. And someone asks what happened to OP's brother-in-law's marriage. OP says the ex cheated and got pregnant, which is probably why the brother-in-law is, so down to be so supportive of OP because he's been through this.
Yeah.
He had to rush through the divorce so he wouldn't be listed on the child's birth certificate. They were together since high school.
Yikes.
Ouch, OP.
Yeah, Opie's got a 4-month-old, and this man's just dipping for a 22-year-old.
He's got 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old.
Yeah.
I meant 4-month-old. I was
Good luck,
just
OP.
commenting on how hard that would be, too. She's still
both,
healing.
Yeah. Your husband sucks. He's gonna go realize that his 22-year-old girlfriend is not actually all that.
I hope.
And who cares? It's his life. He's gonna go off and do whatever he wants. And I hope that you get the house. And
I
you
hope
just have
you
to
do
focus on
too.
yourself and your daughters.
Honestly, if he's really not wanting to be a part of the daughters' lives anymore, just leave the house to you and the daughters.
Literally.
Go
If
live
you
with your
can afford-
22-year-old.
you can
You can
afford
afford
to
a
have
new
another house.
house.
But that is the end of that story, folks. Good luck, OP.
Good
You
luck.
got this. Because this is the end of the episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And
See you
you
tomorrow!
tomorrow.